Oh, there's Borelli. Look at him.
Holy fuck, dude.
Frankie.
What a hoodie. Great hoodie.
Thank you. Team TaylorMade. What a fucking morning.
Walk us through it.
You just can't make this shit up that this happens to me. Like, it's just never easy. It's always something that goes the wrong way. You want to make it right, and you somehow miss the exit.
Foreplay presented by Barstool Sports. We are back, and I guess I would say the show starts only the way that this show could start. We just have myself, we have Trent Ryan, we got Lurch, and we got a text message from Frankie Borelli right when we were about to start that says, "You're never going to believe this, but my dad and I just got locked out, stuck outside with no clothes on." So yeah, I don't know when Frankie's going to be on, but we're just not going to wait for him. And I imagine when he comes in, he's going to come in quite hot based on his experience.
So for those people that don't know, I don't know if we've talked about it on the show or not. I honestly can't remember. Frankie and his dad right now are out at Pebble Beach. Frankie surprised his dad with a little getaway to Pebble Beach. He told him just last week, he's been planning this whole thing. He wanted to take his dad to Pebble Beach. He wanted to stay out there. He wanted to play a couple rounds of golf just to do something nice for his dad. Everybody knows Mr. Borelli is the greatest guy in the world. He works 367 days a year, never takes a break, never does anything. And Frankie's like, I'm going to plan this whole trip and surprise my dad. He finally told him, I believe Friday was the first time he had said to his dad, "Hey, I planned this whole thing." His dad, he told me, Frankie said, his dad said that, like, Frankie, Mr. Borelli's a crier, right? But he didn't even cry. He was so stunned. He was like, is this actually happening to me? And it was Frankie's birthday, so Mr. Borelli was a little confused. But anyway, they're out there at Pebble. I guess they were outside the house that they're staying at, enjoying the view, and they somehow locked themselves out of the house. So whenever Frankie joins, he joins. Could be never, could be in 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's Borelli.
It's going to be hot, too, because I don't know where he's staying. I don't know who solves that puzzle. Like, he's not at a resort. He's at kind of like an Airbnb rental. So it's like, I don't know who you get to get keys to let them in. So it's just a TBD, but he's gonna be hot.
There's not like a passcode, right? I don't think there's a passcode. You got to have a key. And look, this is just the way that Borelli's going to start this show. Really nice thing that he's doing. He's out there with his pops. They're at Pebble. They're playing Pebble. They're experiencing the whole place. And, he's going to miss the podcast because they locked themselves out looking at the view. So that's just, he'll jump in when he jumps in. We got a lot to get to. We just had breaking news, literally, as we started to record the podcast. A little notification came across the wire, as they say. Cameron Smith has withdrawn from the B&W Championship due to a hip injury. Obviously, there's a lot of connotations to this news and everything that's going on, so we'll get to that. We got to get to Shady Rays first. I've been rocking my Shady Rays out there today. Where did I just put those things? I got this pair of Shady Rays aviators, boys.
Ooh.
See these guys?
Oh, wow.
You like those?
Yes.
Wow.
Those are nice.
Commissioner's bringing a little attitude to the course now.
This is an
looking
attitude
to arrest
look.
a few people.
You're under arrest, baby. You're under golf arrest with my aviators from Shady Rays. They're the official sunglasses of Foreplay. Shady Rays offers a world-class product just as good as any expensive pair we've ever worn. Durable frames, extremely clear polarized lenses for on the green and beyond. That is true. I wear these puppies when I play golf. You worry about you're not going to be able to see the same, or it's going to look different, or your touch is going to be different. Go with the Shady Rays because it's going to brighten things up. They're polarized. They're fantastic. And you can get cool aviators like me and intimidate people. If you lose or break your pair, even on day one, Shady Rays told us they will send you a brand new pair. No questions asked. Swing into action and wear your Shady Rays with confidence. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays giving out their best deal of the season. Go to shadyrays.com/foreplay. 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. So again, do yourself a favor. Go to shadyrays.com/foreplay for 50% off 2 or more pair of polarized sunglasses. shadyrays.com/foreplay. They got all kinds of good stuff there. All right. A lot to get to. Extremely exciting finish to the PGA Tour's first playoff event yesterday, which was interesting because there's a lot going on, as there has been all year. A lot of saltiness, I would say, from, the entire LIV Tour, chirping about the leaderboard, about Memphis, about how the tournament's not that great. There's nobody in contention. Rory misses the cut. Where are your stars at now? And they kind of had some points, and, and then all of a sudden the PGA Tour proved really why the PGA Tour is the PGA Tour and why ultimately I think it's, prevailing and it's the side that I'm on thus far is because it fucking matters. And yesterday mattered. You had Will Zalatoris trying to get his first win ever. He's been so close. He's been in a bunch of playoffs at major championships. He burned the edge at the U.S. Open. He had his run at the Masters last year. So Will Zalatoris, kind of a rising star all over the place, trying to get this win to the point where he's got like Tiger-esque yelling at the fucking camera, essentially after he makes a putt. And one of the craziest things I've ever seen. What are they going to say now? I don't know if you put that on a fucking t-shirt. Maybe we'll have to with our cool, little design that we put out yesterday. But point is, 3-hole playoff, all kinds of drama, and a tournament that, again, wasn't that sexy overall. Didn't seem like it was going to be that awesome. Was must-watch television last night as this thing concluded. So I thought at the end of the day, huge win, obviously, for Will Zalatoris. But overall, for the tour, fucking dream finish, all things considered.
Yeah, I think so. They also drummed up their own news by giving Cam Smith a penalty. So, like you alluded to that coming out and then the finish and a couple rock walls and then the putt and what are we going to say now? And he goes absolutely apeshit. But yeah, it was a heck of a finish for what seemed to be kind of a lackluster, I guess, midway point going into the weekend. But yeah, I mean, it was a great finish. And so the playoff will roll on, but, Cam Smith, and we'll talk about it more, will not be part of it due to a vague hip issue, just like a vague drop issue. So pretty good.
I was thinking about it. LIV tournaments, they're 54 holes. They end on Saturday, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Is that right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking about that. If they're, and we've talked about LIV versus PGA Tour endlessly, but it's hard to avoid. If you are actually a golf business that you're trying to start a new league and that you want people to pay attention to, and I get that they don't have TV deals, maybe that's coming down the road for LIV in the future, I don't know. But I was thinking about it yesterday with the ending of that tournament, with the playoffs. Having a golf tournament end on a Sunday is so ingrained into TV watching DNA that is a leg up for the PGA Tour regardless of what happens. Think about even if LIV, with the players that they have, if they have a barn burner of a finish and it's holy shit, they are on the 27th playoff hole of this tournament. It's a Saturday. People don't give a fuck about golf on a Saturday. And it just lends more credence to the fact that I think they're not trying to make a legitimate business. They're just trying to sports wash and all that shit. Having a golf tournament that ends on a Saturday that nobody cares about is a recipe for nobody watching. Having a golf tournament that ends on a Sunday that everybody knows is ending on a Sunday, a lot of casual fans, I would imagine, weren't paying attention until maybe the playoffs started. And then certainly once the par 3 started going crazy, or even the drives on the first 2 playoff holes were pretty nuts. Then people start tuning in. I just don't think you could have that at all with this rival LIV tour. That just doesn't happen on a Saturday. People are out, people on a boat, they're doing whatever. Sunday, people are hungover, they're sitting there, and they know that golf is potentially going to be on. So as soon as people start tweeting, holy shit, Willie Z and Sepp Straka are going head to head, and there's some crazy bounces happening, people tune in. I just don't think you get that with another tour.
Yeah, it picks up on social, right? I mean, that's kind of where the bat signal comes from, is you start seeing people were tweeting about it, Big Cat's getting into it. When Big Cat's getting in the arena on golf tweeting, clearly it's relevant, and that only happens on Sundays. You're right. And on Saturday, if you're trying to get a tournament, any eyeballs or interest or whatever on a Saturday, there's really no time in the year to even do it. In the summer, everybody's out. Nobody's sitting at their house doing anything. And then in the fall, you're going to go up against college football. Right. Nobody's going to watch it or care. And so you're right. It's almost like they're going to have to eventually go up against the PGA Tour if they want to try to act like this is some kind of viable business. And I just don't know. It's LIV pretty much is a new competitor's version of what the tour did with the FedEx Cup, right? Where they just threw money at it to try to make it important. Right. And it's just not important. And the PGA Tour, it has worked to a degree with the FedEx Cup. I mean, that event did feel a little bit more important than it otherwise would have, for sure. But it was really the raw emotion of Willie Z and how much it meant to him to win. He was crying afterwards. He's up there with his fiance. He's screaming at the camera because of how important, or at the, whatever, the crowd. That shit was so raw and real, and none of that was entrenched in like how much he was going to make. Nobody was talking about that. Nobody cared about that. It was literally about like him winning on the PGA Tour was a childhood dream. He's been so close. He finally got to do it. There is not one moment from any LIV coverage yet that meant anything close to that, no matter how much money they're playing for. And that is the thing that you can't replicate. Now, it's early. Obviously, a few events in. LIV's had like 3 events, whatever fuck it's been. Obviously, you can't expect them to have all of this legacy and importance and meaning to like their wins. You got to build from it. I'm sure the first PGA Tour event of all time didn't feel like this last one. Totally get that. But they got such a long way to go for it to in any way matter like that meant to Willie Z. And he said afterwards, paraphrasing, no amount of guaranteed money could ever make me feel the way that I feel right now. And I think that is, at the end of the day, the ultimate difference between the PGA Tour and LIV is that as much shit as we've given the PGA Tour, we've been banned from tournaments. Trent and I have had to wear disguises to try to get in because we've had so many run-ins with the PGA Tour. Their events matter from just a pure legacy and childhood dream, and you get to play a game for a living vantage point, and LIV just doesn't.
It was pretty amazing how little they talked about the money on the broadcast yesterday. Like, it was all about Willie Z got his first win. He's emotional. And then as they were signing off, they're like, and he got 2.7 million. It was like, whoa. Like, we had Hubs who works at Barstool and Barstool Nate, they were on Twitter talking about it, being like, it's incredible that they don't talk about that more, but it goes to what you're saying, Riggs, where there's all this other stuff with it with Willie Z, where he's been knocking on the door for so many months now. He's gotten so close, and then he finally breaks through in this playoff, and he's crying on the green, and then the money is just an afterthought. Now, I know that's not how it is with everybody, and we don't have our LIV representative, Frankie Borelli, on this podcast right now. But he would say, like, well, he's Willie Z and he's wanted this forever, but put somebody else in their place and they're gonna be like, holy fuck, I just won $2.7 million. So it is case by case, but it worked out for the tour yesterday that Willie Z is just this perfect story, this perfect storm of when is this guy gonna win? And then he won it in such a crazy way.
Do you think now it's easier for Willie Z to potentially go to LIV? Because I understand, like, I totally get your point, right? PGA Tour, prove them to yourself. You win, epic stage, that's insane. However, now, like, LIV is almost like a retirement paycheck tour. Like, there's a lot of good that kind of comes with all that money. And do you think the mindset now, winning on the PGA Tour, it's easier to maybe make that transition to LIV? I'm not saying he's going to do it, but I definitely think that now it is easier for him because it's not in front of him that he hasn't accomplished.
That's interesting, but Cam Smith and Will Zalatoris are two interesting people to me in this whole thing, especially with all the rumors surrounding Cam Smith. Is he going to go to LIV? Is he not? This hip injury. We're going to talk about that. I don't know what that's all about. But, like, I understand people calling it a retirement tour because all these old guys who are kind of on the other side of the hill are going there. And then you look at a Cam Smith or a Will Zalatoris, and the conversation around them leaving is, this would be a big deal for the PGA Tour and LIV because now you've got young, up-and-coming guys who have these huge careers in front of them that are potentially going to make the jump. I just, like, if you're Cam Smith or Willie Z, we can talk about them in the same breath. Like, your earning potential, I understand that $100 million check is right there for Cam Smith or however much it is for Willie Z, but with the upside of a Cam Smith in particular, how much could you make? And I guess this is the Jim Furyk example that we talked about last show. Like, how much could you potentially make if you just stay around and you keep cashing these checks? You're so good. You're so good. And if you just rack up a bunch of wins each season on the PGA Tour, like, is that going to end up being more than 100 million? Probably, but it's so enticing to just look at a check and they're saying, here's $100 million right now, but you don't have to work obviously as hard for it, but the earning potential for a guy like Cam Smith feels like it's way higher if you stay on the PGA Tour.
I think it's a better question of, like, your brand equity. You know what I mean? Like, if he wins, because I don't know, winning on the PGA Tour, if that's ever going to, like, take over what you could potentially win on the LIV Tour. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I do think the brand side of it is, could Cam Smith develop his brand into $1 billion brand or a half billion dollar brand on the PGA Tour? And on the LIV Tour, can he only develop that brand into $100 million? Like, I would say that there's a bigger gap there of what he could do for himself playing on the LIV Tour just because of like the political headwinds.
This is an interesting point that Brandel has been making, and he clearly has liked to make a lot of points throughout this entire ordeal. But, he makes the point that 3 of the top 4 highest earning athletes in history are golfers. It's Tiger Woods, Arnold Palmer, Jack Nicklaus are 2, 3, 4 behind Michael Jordan. So
No way.
clearly there is, right, like Arnold Palmer in his final years, dude, was still making like $50 million a year or something.
But he had that effing drink. He's got the Arnie.
Totally, but that's the point, is that you can build a brand. Totally. And Brandel's point has been that golf, right, like the characteristics and qualities around golf are considered to be respectable and something that you look up to, right? Like golfers are gentlemen of society and have high integrity and like
moral
all the bullshit.
Compass of Pinehurst. It's everything.
That's right. That's like the golf that's the cream of the crop in golf, is that sort of what you are. And so it's you can become so marketable. But what is interesting about that version of golf, right, is that the guys that are very cognizant of building a brand, I think, are way more inclined to stay on the tour because that's part of their DNA. Like a Morikawa, he has said on our show that like part of the reason he comes to the show is because he understands brand building as a young, golfer, and part of the reason he wanted to do the suit thing when he showed up to Liberty is because like he's focused on curating a certain brand. Whereas another guy like a Cam Smith, I think he just wants to go fly fishing and play golf. And there's a reason that Jon Rahm, right, is by all measures like a better golfer than Ricky Fowler. Jon Rahm will have a better career. He's got a major. He's got a bunch of wins. He was number 1 in the world. But Ricky Fowler is way, way bigger from a marketing branding standpoint than Jon Rahm will ever be. And that's so that if you want to play that game and it's cool and it's part of who you are, then I think you're way more inclined to stay on the tour. But if you don't, if you just like, if golf's almost just a job for you for the most part, like, I think it's really easy for you to just say, fuck yeah, I'm going to go to LIV. All the marketing part of it is gone. The branding is gone. Doesn't matter. They pay you $100 million. You don't need $500,000 from TaylorMade. You don't need, who cares? It's over. Your check's cleared. It's done. And all you have to do is show up, play golf / party, basically. It's a 54-hole fucking shotgun. It's like it's like less serious than the Barstool Classic at this point. and you're getting paid however many millions. And so I think like as we're starting to see kind of the dominoes fall or the chips fall, which on which side, they are, it's almost becoming a little bit more, you could tell a year ago who is really into the total brand building and thus is going to maximize their potential on the PGA Tour, because right, a huge percentage of golfers' earnings is not from the prize pool. It's like Tiger's $1 billion. He's become $1 billion athlete twice because of the divorce and all that, and he's only made $120 million on the golf course or whatever it is. So like that's we're saying that's 90% of his earnings or whatever has to come from off the golf course. If you don't want to deal with any of that shit, go to LIV, be a Patrick Reed, be a Sergio Garcia, right? Those are guys with pretty shitty brands who people like don't like, and they're just on LIV making a ton of money and they don't have to worry about anything else.
That's a really good point. I guess that's what makes Phil so fascinating, right? Because he's both.
Totally.
He's
totally.
But that's been clear always. Like the undercarriage of Phil has always been a little bit sketchy. Like I don't think
definitely.
Like so I don't think that's as big of a shock.
But he's been a big brand builder. That's like been his thing. He's not real. He's all about his brand.
He
his
is,
public
but
image.
he's a selfish moneymaker, I would say, at the apex. Like brand builder, yes, that fits into how much money can I pull in? Like this, how much money can I don't think it's like you have to dig too far to think of Phil in that way.
Yeah.
I feel like he's a guy that you can be like, I would say he's probably selfish.
No, and I would argue that
money
motivates.
now.
I would argue that whole thing, like the top of the mountain for all of them is like, how much money can I make? I would imagine. Like even all this stuff that we're talking about with Morikawa, where he's like, I want to build my brand. Like the end of that road, there's a dollar sign. So, but it's just the way you go about doing it. This Cam Smith thing, and I guess we can get to the hip injury now. Like he's gone, I would imagine, especially with Riggs, that point you made about a guy, like just a general gut feeling on how you feel about a guy and how he wants to make his money. It does seem like Cam Smith is kind of like as interesting as he would appear from the outside, he's got the mullet. He's got this incredible game. He's got this beautiful swing. I do think he just kind of wants to make as much money as he can and kind of fade into the background. As crazy as that sounds for how young he is.
Yeah, I agree. I think, and it isn't, we're overgeneralizing and just throwing people into like two buckets, basically. I'm
Right.
sure, a lot of people are somewhere in between, and like, we don't know Cam Smith that well, but I do think from talking to Trevor Immelman, he comes off that way of like, I want to hit good golf shots and make a ton of money, and I don't really care about anything. I don't want to be on a Wheaties box. Like, I don't give a fuck.
Like, he's not, like, Cam Smith's not on social media, right?
No, not that I know of.
He's not on Twitter. He's on Instagram, but like, yeah, he's definitely not active. And I would say Cam is just like, he almost falls into like, now it's like, just throwing buckets at people, like kind of a DJ bucket in a sense, where he just like, he'd prefer to hang out and fish and just relax. And, I was just like thinking about why it's 54 holes and ends on Saturday is like the pitch, because if you have a family, you can fly home on Sunday and be there for like Monday morning to take your kids to school. Like, I don't know what it is, because it is an interesting, like when you think about sports that maximize certain times of the year, and like August is always one that it's kind of like a gap month. The most crucial time for golf is literally like Sunday after like noon Eastern, where people are now returning home from their weekend trips. They lazily put on the golf and they're just like, who do we have this week? They really haven't checked in too much. And like, that's the market. So it is, I was just kind of thinking of that as you guys were talking, like, what is this sell? Do they like truly not care? Or was it like, hey, players, not only are we going to pay you all this money, but like Saturday night, you can fly home, you can be with your families on Sunday. I don't know.
We're being careful about the bucket thing, but I actually think it's more true than even we're letting on.
I think it is too, the more we talk about it.
Patrick Reed, Bryson DeChambeau, Brooks Koepka, DJ. Yeah. That's, if you look at the through line of all those guys, it's pretty much, I want to make as much money as I can, and I'm fucking sick of dealing with the social media branding side of this whole thing.
Yeah.
Dude, it's so true. Think about those guys. Like, think about how active Phil and Brooks Koepka used to be on Twitter, and they just don't tweet, and they're just out on it. Like, that was clearly calculations for years, and they're just like, oh, I don't have to do that shit. I'm out.
Yeah. Right. And if you like, obviously, I've been on Riggs' side, and in terms of PGA Tour or LIV, but
you've been not on Frankie's side, which is,
But then that's the fascinating thing about LIV is like, PGA Tour was just the only boat going down the river, right? It's just going down the river. People are making pretty good money, but there's these commitments they have to do with the brands and the partners when you go to these tournaments and the pro-ams. And then this other yacht just starts rolling next to you. And it's like, hey, if you want to jump over here and do less and get paid a ton of money, do that. It's like, I don't agree with where the money comes from and any of that stuff, but it's a wild opportunity for these golfers that no other league of sports has ever seen, really, where it's just this new thing that you can go do. And it's at the end of the day, it's an opportunity, and a few of these guys have taken it.
Yeah, and it also cuts out the risk. I mean, like, God forbid a hip injury shows up and you can't play golf again. You know what I mean? So maybe Cam Smith is super calculate on this one, but like, that is like the risk of that. Like, I do think a more successful career PGA Tour is a better route to go, like, and potentially, like, to Riggs's point and like Brandle's point, is you can make more money potentially that way if you like execute to the nines, but it just takes all the risk out of it. Take a check for $100 million. You can pretty much do whatever you want now, and like it makes sense in many different ways, honestly.
We got some hip injury to talk about. I hope nobody gets a hip injury when we go to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Beginning of September, we're going to be there. One of the From the Gallery questions is actually about Frankie's elbow. What's the update with his elbow? He just only seemed to be injured for that one day. So speaking about injuries, I'm hoping that nobody ends up with a hip injury. Next month, I got more than 70 golf courses, sandy white beaches. They got endless off the tee and off the course entertainment options. We're going to be experiencing it all. I cannot fucking wait to get to Myrtle Beach. It's going to be different. It's like a boys trip, bachelor party, but you could do it nicer. You could do more of the sandy white beaches. If you want to be a little fancier, you can get a little grimier if you want. Get in the mix. Get right on in there at Myrtle Beach. It offers fucking everything, so I'm jacked up to get there. Package options include free replays, so do yourself a favor. Go over to myrtlebeachgolf.com, shop golf packages for the popular fall golf season in Myrtle Beach. I love fall golf. Maybe we'll get a little fall foliage down there in South Carolina, and then you go, you do like a weekend buddies trip, play golf in the morning. You got college football in the afternoon on Saturday. If you stick around on Sunday, you obviously got NFL. There's all kinds of good stuff. Now they got enough games on on Friday nights too, I feel like, in college football. So all kinds of good stuff to look forward to in a little fall golf season. Go to myrtlebeachgolf.com. Lodging options include oceanfront villas, golf villas, condos. Gary Player designed Blackmore Golf Club and River's Edge named among Golf Digest top 100 courses. So myrtlebeachgolf.com. Go check it out. Shop a bunch of their good fall golf options.
Place is
Cam
the best.
Smith.
Quickly, I hope Frankie comes in soon. I've got to drop to my other job. I've got to go. So I love you all. I'm sorry to see you go, but I've got to go.
Go get him, Lurch. Good luck out
See
there.
you, boys. Bye-bye.
Go get him. It's a little OG show here. It's just Trent Ryan and Sam Riggs-Bazoyan from Barstool Sports here. It's just the two of us. So Cam Smith is clearly all over the place, and I was just kind of thinking about this when you guys were finishing up the discussion pre-ad read there, is that Cam Smith is such an interesting case because no one's been on the level that he's on that has gone to live, right? Like, he is the number 2 ranked player in the world. I think if he won yesterday, he was maybe going to go to number 1, I think I saw. Or if he wins FedEx Cup, he's going to go to number 1 in the world and remove Scottie Scheffler. So a person of that caliber being taken away from the PGA Tour, I think even DJ gone, like, fine, they can allow it. I think even Phil gone, fine, they can allow it in the way that it went down. I don't know that they had much of a choice. Clearly a bunch of the other guys, the retirement tour, Taylor Gooch, see you later. But I think Cam Smith, tour's like, this is a problem. We can't have the Cam Smiths going away. And so we've got a couple things in succession that have occurred now. The penalty yesterday, Sunday, was laugh out loud funny. When that one came across the wire, I mean, I'm not convinced that it was suspicious. I'm not. But the fact that I can't remember the last time I saw someone get penalized the next day, 2 strokes for a penalty that happened from a sketchy drop in the middle of their round. They weren't told during the round. They weren't told after the round. They were told the next day right before they teed off. And it happens to be the guy in the hottest public water in golf. Can you remember the last time you really saw that?
No. It's such a crazy set of circumstances that I actually don't think it could be recreated in the past, maybe in the future, but certainly not in the past. And what was he at, 12 under? Was that?
Yeah, he's right there. He was like the favorite to win.
12 under. I think the winners yesterday were at 15 under that sent him to a playoff. So he's in the mix. And we've talked about on this show, like, we've played out every scenario when it comes to Cam Smith within the last week or two being like, am I going to LIV? People are asking him. He's like, I don't want to talk about that right now. The worst case scenario would have been Cam Smith winning this first event, because then this guy is taking all of the money, and he's potentially, once this whole thing is wrapped up, he's going to go catch $100 million check from LIV. So with all that put together, the conspiracy theories were abound on Twitter. And I get it, because it is such an interesting circumstance that he gets penalized for this, sort of gray area, weird thing, not until the next day. They don't tell him. And then he's back at 10 under. He ends up not playing that well. And, he's probably not in a great mind state. Like, once that all happens, he ends up at, I think, 9 under or something for the tournament. Doesn't end up coming close to winning. But if he doesn't get penalized and he plays well on Sunday, there is a very, very real chance that Cam Smith wins the first event and all hell breaks loose.
Yeah, and him winning would be worst case scenario for the PGA Tour. Great scenario just from a objective golf viewer. You're rooting for chaos. You're rooting for storylines. That would be all over ESPN. That would be everywhere. So he gets the penalty. Again, from what I understood, he agreed that he didn't know the rule, like, precisely, agreed that once he found out the penalty was the right move, didn't fight it, and there was no controversy, as they say. But then, with the fact that we get this today, this is meaningful. This withdrawal, like, the what they released is that his agent from Wasserman released that he's had on and off discomfort, so he's withdrawing. He's number 3 in the FedEx Cup. There's no real golf on the PGA Tour to play until, I don't know, end of January next year. So he has to get through 2 more weeks of golf where he was in contention and could have just won the fucking tournament yesterday if he didn't get the 2-stroke penalty and play a little bit better on Sunday. He could have easily won the golf tournament. And then 3 weeks ago, he won, the biggest tournament of the last decade, the 150th at the Old Course at St. Andrews. So clearly he's not in so much discomfort that he is withdrawing from this week's tournament. There's more to the story now, and it is starting to almost recall into question for me the penalty from yesterday, because you're like, the guy withdrew. What is going on here? Is this pretty nefarious? Is that safe to say?
Yes, it is. The reason his hip hurts is because his wallet's got so much money in it now that it's pulling him down and he just can't stand up straight. He's gone. I don't know about the penalty. You could go back and look at it now because of this new hip injury that he has, but he's gone, right? He's gone. He's gone.
I think that's gotta be. So do we think then? Okay, let's get some conspiracy going here. Do we think that essentially, right? Like if you're the tour, and we spoke about this last week, but if you're the tour and Cam Smith is gonna go to LIV, can you actively in real time do anything about it, or do you have to wait until he goes? And so that leads me to the question of like, did they learn, or were they able to uncover in the last day or couple days or whatever, like proof? Did he sign something that's like, we know it, you signed it? Were they able to put him, up to the fire and be like, what's the deal? Did you do this or not? And he has to answer truthfully. Otherwise, with all the legal stuff going on, there's ramifications. And he was like, yes, I signed. I'm supposed to be starting, the day after do we think they got to the bottom of something that has now allowed them to basically be like, you're not playing in the FedEx Cup?
I like that. I don't know if it's true, but I like that angle. Like Monahan is hitting the law books being like, all right, what is the justification that we can get him out of these tournaments? Like, are you saying that the PGA Tour found out that he may or may not have signed, and then they went to him and were like, hey, we have this legal precedent that says if you have signed with LIV and you continue throughout these playoffs and end up winning X amount of money, we are going to bring a legal case to your doorstep that is going to try to bring all that money back to us, and it is going to be incredibly ugly. And he was like, my hip hurts.
Yes. Because, basically. Because I think, right, like if on the most basic level, if you're the tour and a week ago Cam Smith is going to LIV, you do not want him in the FedEx Cup because you cannot risk the possibility of what you described earlier, which is worst case scenario, he wins an event, he wins all the events, he wins the FedEx Cup. You cannot have that. And then the next day goes to LIV. So if you're the tour and you know that, your first objective is like, we cannot let that happen. How do you not let that happen? Don't let him play. But legally, I don't know where you're at in terms of being able to not let him play. So what I'm theorizing is that somewhere in the last 4 days or 2 days or hour when this fucking thing was announced, did they uncover something that they were able to present and basically say, you're not fucking playing because we know what's going on here. We cannot have that. You're not playing, and here's why. And if you want to try to play, we have X, Y, and Z that you're going to have to deal with, whatever the fuck that might be. Because I think there's no way he's just choosing not to play because he's got discomfort in his hip. There's no fucking way.
Here's what we do know. He didn't wake up today or in the last couple of weeks being like, my hip is sore. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. Like, the reason he is gone is not the hip. I don't know how deep it goes. We've played out a couple of scenarios here that honestly sound pretty fucking likely. But I know for a fact that the hip is not the reason that he is not playing next week.
Agreed. Now,
it's pretty crazy.
Is it? It's nuts. And the guy's the reigning Open champion. He's number 2 in the world. He's number 3 in the FedEx Cup standings. Is it possible that because guys have sat out FedEx Cup before, but that was when there were like 4 events in a row. With 3, I feel like it's pretty stacked now where you have to play, right? Like, I feel like he falls because they do the leaderboard. So it's like he goes from, if he plays well this week, being right up near the top because they started, remember DJ starts like 10 under par. It's insanity. Now he risks starting like 5-7 shots back, whatever it might be. Whereas if he played, he'd be right in the mix or near the top more than likely if he just played. So I feel like he's not it's not a calculated like I can afford to miss this. It's not a big deal. I think that this is a big deal that he's missing it. He can't really afford to miss it. If you're going to play and see the FedEx Cup through, you need to just play. It's 3 fucking events, and then like we were talking about, you're done for 4 months or whatever the hell it is. And you go play LIV, you go play the next handful of LIV events, and now you're just a LIV guy. But yeah, he's not playing because of discomfort.
That's right.
We all agree on that. The two of us.
The two of us can agree on that. I have a question, and I'd be curious to know anonymously, and maybe I feel like you rub shoulders sometimes with a few PGA Tour players out there in Scottsdale. No names, but has anybody had the opinion that they love seeing guys go to LIV, especially at Cam Smith, because it dilutes the competition pool? Like the company line so far has been, the reason I play on the PGA Tour is that it's the best competition in the world, and I want to be the best at my sport. And the PGA Tour right now is the only place where all of the best, or at least the majority of the best players in the world are playing. And that's why I golf. That's why I get up in the morning. That's why I practice. That's why I hired a nutritionist. That's why I hired a sports psychologist, because I want to be the best, because I'm playing against the best people, the best golfers in the world. Have you ever heard anyone say, like, I hope Cam Smith goes because it's going to make it easier for me to win these gigantic purses out on the PGA Tour?
Back channels, absolutely. And
right,
even deeper than that, like our guy Callum Tarrant, right? Like he just vaults into the top 125 and got into the FedEx Cup. I think he would have gotten there anyways on merit, but he was really close because people were removed that were ahead of him in the standings. So it's like you literally by subtraction, you just advance. You just climb the ladder by people disappearing. So yeah, absolutely. We actually had somebody submit from the gallery that was like, hey, have we thought at all about the fact that we want everyone to go to LIV so that when Tiger comes back, it's just way easier for him to win. He gets his 83rd win and it's over. And he's got the most wins of all time.
I love it, because when I was laying out that scenario just now, I was like, the only person that gets hurt in that scenario is the fan. Like I don't care that, Cam Smith jumps and it makes it easier for somebody else, a lower tier guy, to win on tour. The only guy that helps really is the lower tier guys. As a fan, and that's been one of our points about LIV versus PGA, is you're watching all these guys jump and they're getting all this money, and there's people who are being like, let him go, let him get that money. It's a free world. It's a free country. But the person that it's hurting is the fan, because when you tune in on a Saturday or Sunday or whenever, you're watching a product that is not as good as it was 12 months ago. So that's the only issue with that. But this angle that from the gallery question took solves all those problems, where it's, you get the scales tip so much in LIV's direction, and they get so much talent that when 47-year-old Tiger Woods comes back, he can kind of just walk to his 83rd victory. I love it.
Yeah, he shows up to like the Wyndham in 2023, and it's like Tiger Woods, against fucking who the fuck knows would be in the field at that point. But it's just easier. The guy, I mean, Dylan, that was Dylan that submitted that. He's like, he went as far as say, why aren't we rooting for this? Oh, there's Borelli. Look at him.
Holy fuck, dude.
Frankie.
What a hoodie. Great hoodie.
Thank you. Team TaylorMade. What a fucking morning. You just can't make this shit up that this happens to me. Like, it's just never easy. It's always something that goes the wrong way. You want to make it right, and you somehow miss the exit. Yeah, we're out here. I surprised my dad with a trip out to Pebble Beach. It was a big moment. We did it like a night before my birthday. Like, he wasn't expecting it at all. It happened to work out that this week would be best for him. I looked at his schedule. Nothing was going on at the restaurant. I'm like, I'm taking my dad to Pebble Beach. It's just time. Like, I'm done just like sitting around and not doing it. I'm just going to go do it. Like, it's one of those like live life while you can live life moments where it's like, we're going to Pebble Beach. I don't care what you got going on. So, booked the trip, got a tee time. We're playing on Tuesday. We're also playing NPCC. And like the hero of this entire story is Josh. Josh Isner, Dad Bod Classic Josh, just the absolute legend of foreplay, like the behind the scenes legend that no one really knows but knows the name of. If you're a listener, you know that
Lurch's boss's boss's boss's
Lurch's boss's boss, who's just got the most immaculate house on the 18th hole of Spanish Bay you've ever seen in your entire life. That happens to be his like summer home. So he has this, and I texted him being like, hey, you got any like places you think you know anything about in like Pebble Beach? You got any like Airbnbs that you would like recommend? He's like, dude, you could just stay at my place. I'm like, all right, that's awesome. I'm like, whoa, I didn't even know that was an option, dude. So Josh couldn't have been more accommodating. Sent me he's like so excited that we're out here because like I feel like one of the best parts of having a place like this is for other people to like experience it, right? Like he's got his family, they come out here. You can see like he's got his kids stuff around here. It's awesome how much of like a family guy he is. I'm looking at crayons and like all these like play stuff, but then also like now we get to come experience it. And like my dad's looking at the views. He can't believe this is a real place. Monterey Peninsula is not a real place. It's a movie set. You're driving through the fog, windy roads. It's a movie set. It's like, yeah, it's fucking insane. So we get here late last night. We like the car that we rented that was available was like a Tesla that drives itself. So we just got driven by a car all the way here. It was the craziest shit I've ever experienced.
What was that experience like? Were you nervous?
Dude, your heart legitimately feels like it's going to explode when it's making turns. Like you're going 75 miles an hour on the highway and it's got to like go around a bend like next to a median like divider, and it just does it. And you're like, okay, I hope in 2 seconds it turns. Like I hope it bends around the road. And you're like, if it doesn't, we're dead. But it does. It just goes around. So yeah, it was fucking crazy, and it was like the coolest thing I've ever seen. So electric cars are just the coolest shit ever. You just get in them and you just drive. You hit. There's no like on. I was looking for the on button. You just go. It took us 20 minutes to start the car, by the way, like because there is no start in the car.
I just picture somebody stumbling upon the Foreplay podcast in 100 years and throwing this episode on and listening to that portion being like, we electric cars and like we just get in them and they are going to be so advanced in 100 years that they're going to, it's like we're talking about it's unbelievable like how much they're going to
Dude, it reminded me of the Bill Burr joke when he's talking about I think it's the Louis C.K. joke where he's like, when you didn't know that something existed and then 2 minutes into it, you're already like complaining about it. Like
he's talking about airplane Wi-Fi.
Where he's like, we can't get Wi-Fi up here 40,000 feet in the air. Like I just found out this existed 10 minutes ago, but you should definitely have this up and running so I can watch all my movies. Like today, like yet last night, I'm like, why? Like me and my dad at like halfway through, like a half an hour into the drive, we're like, why is this thing not like changing lanes and like going the route that we want? Like you have to end up taking the wheel and like go off the exit. We're like, why is this not stopping at stop signs? Like we were like mad that it wasn't doing more. So we get here late last night, wake up in the morning. Josh sends me an entire itinerary of what to do and what not to do at the house. Like there's all these like, there's lock boxes and there's all these things to get in. And he's like, make sure that you keep the key in the lock box because it's very easy to get locked out of this house. So I was like, all right. So we come in. I'm going to put the key in the lockbox last night. And Dad's like, why are you putting the key in the lockbox? Like, just keep it in your pocket. Like, we need a key on us. I'm like, I don't know. Josh said to keep it in the lockbox. He's like, just keep it in your pocket, whatever. Turns out I don't keep it in my pocket. Don't put it in the lockbox. I put it next to my fucking bed in the nightstand. So I hear my dad wake up. It's like 7 a.m. I walk downstairs. He's like, I hear him just say, holy shit. Because finally, last night we got in late. We heard the ocean. You know when you like go to an oceanfront property or like a hotel or something, you can hear it in the distance, but you just don't know where it is. It's so dark. So we heard it. And then this morning we wake up and you finally get to see the whole entire view. It's amazing. You're like, holy shit, this place is not real. We both go outside. I have the GoPro. I'm making a whole video, by the way. I have a GoPro. And I'm like, Dad, what do you think? Like, this place is insane. And he's like, yeah. And then all of a sudden the door closes behind us. And we're like, all right, that's like, we'll figure that out in a second. I'm finished the video. I hit end on the video and we go to open up the back door and it's fucking locked. So now we're like, no way. All right, let's try the other one. No way. Completely locked. So, all right, let's go right back around and see if the front door's open. It should be, because when we walked in, first of all, it's like the most like exclusive place in the world. No one's fucking barging into this place. I deadbolt locked the front door, which did not have a key to it. So now we're trying to get in. No chance. We're looking up to scale the walls. My dad's literally trying to scale the walls. No chance. So then we're like, we're fucked. The podcast is starting. We're stuck out here. I had no socks on or shoes on. I'm out there in like a tank top and shorts. It's freezing outside. It's like 60 degrees. Wind's blowing off the fucking ocean. I'm like, we're stuck out here. This is crazy town. Luckily, I had a phone on me. Like, we didn't have anything. Yeah. So I had my phone on me. If we didn't have a phone on us, I cry. Like, I literally cry. Or like, we just go jump in the water and we just sail off into the distance. We call a locksmith. The locksmith is here. He got here in 10 minutes.
Whoa.
goes to like pick the lock. It's an old lock. So breaking news to Josh, you now have a new deadbolt because we had to drill it through. We drilled through the door, and we're buying you a brand new deadbolt, and we have a key that will now be in the lockbox, and the whole thing will be fine. So it is what it is. I didn't expect my first day at Pebble Beach with my dad to be a home improvement, getting him a brand new lock. But you know what? Now he's got a more secure, up-to-date new deadbolt on his Palace on Spanish Bay. And that has been my first 12 hours here on the trip.
Wow. Congratulations to Josh. Brand new lock.
Thank
It's
you.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great.
I'm like afraid to tell him that, but I feel like it's going to be okay.
I think he'll get over it. I think.
Okay. Like, hey, we got in.
It's good.
Like we got in, but you have a new lock. I don't know.
I want to get more into your trip. We got to get into Notion first. Sometimes life can feel like work, and work can feel like life, especially if you trap yourself outside. But with Notion, you can stay organized and easily toggle back and forth between what makes you money and makes you happy. Notion is an all-in-one team collaboration tool that combines note-taking, document sharing, wikis, project management, and more into one space that's simple, powerful, and beautifully designed. While Notion will make you more efficient and productive at work, what really sets Notion apart is that it seamlessly transitions from a workplace power tool into a game changer for your personal life. If you are dreaming, working, planning, or building at work or at home, Notion is the collaboration tool that you need. You can get started for free at Notion.com. That's Notion.com to start for free. Notion.com. Take the first step towards organized, productive work and live life today. That's Notion.com. Take the first step. Notion.com. I think Trent did a fantastic job of describing, your situation from third-person vantage point, the entire surprise, your pops, the fact that he couldn't even really believe it was happening to him, and really set the stage for you being locked outside. So now we've kind of got the full scope. Are you guys playing golf today, Frankie?
Yeah, we're gonna play the hay, I believe. I'm just waiting for an email. The person that helped me set this all up has been great. Actually, whoever you set me up with, I'm on an email chain, but the people here at Pebble Beach are amazing. They're the coolest people ever, and they really want you to have a great time. So I think we're gonna play the hay today, which will be fun. I never played it yet. It's awesome from what I see on the scorecard. I think you've played it before, right, Riggs?
Yeah, I played it a
longest
couple
holes
times.
112 yards or something like that. There's a couple holes that are 40 yards, which is just that's the perfect way to ease into a trip, specifically for my dad who likes to play the furthest up tees of all time so that he can have a good time and actually hit the green too. So we're playing that. We're playing Pebble Beach Tuesday, and then we're playing MPCC Wednesday, which is insane, and then driving up to San Francisco, and then flying out Wednesday night, red eye. So wow. 2 rounds and then 1 9-hole.
I can't believe you're out there. The last time I saw you, which was just a couple days ago, you were getting sake super soaked into your mouth with a fucking gun.
Oh my God.
Now you're on the West Coast.
That was a hell of a time. Trent Daddy came to my birthday bash, my first big party at the house. It was a good time. I mean, it was there was a lot of alcohol involved. We had hibachi come to the house. I think it's called Hibachi to You. It's an amazing enterprise. The fact that they just bring the best food ever. Honestly, top-notch quality food. It wasn't just this fucking frozen steak and chip. It was legit. I had filet mignon. It was nuts. So yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. And then he had this water gun that was socking us right in the fucking back of the tonsils. And at the end of the day, you're wait a minute. If he's holding the water gun right next to your face and he's just shooting sake down your throat, and you're everyone's having a competition for how long they can keep it going in their mouth, you're having 15 to 20 shots of sake. You're just think about the number of shots of sake you're taking by just guzzling down a squirt gun worth of sake. A little shot glass. Think about how many of those Rudy had. Rudy must have had 35 shots of sake. Dude, right. And an hour into it, we're all just seeing, looking sideways. I was shit-faced by 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, shit-faced.
Right, because it does turn into a competition where they're going around the table and they're counting how many seconds each person can get it. And Rudy was on the far end of the table. So by the time it got to him, the record was 19 seconds. And he was I'm going to go 30 seconds. And then he did, and he was shit-faced, as he should be, because that's a million shots of sake. But you are right. That hibachi to you, I believe that is what it's called. That's an amazing thing. We were just in your backyard eating delicious hibachi.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And Tommy Smokes came. He was awkward. Classic case of I went out to go get beer. I went out to go get beer at the beer distributor down the road and ice. And as I'm there, I got a Simply Safe notification that 3 people were at my door. And it was Tommy, Rudy, and Trent. And so Tommy was at my house before I was, getting the tour before I could be there. And he was just it was just classic Tommy Smokes of the whole thing was a bit. And you're like, all right, I get it. I wasn't there to open the door for you.
Well, we've been texting back and forth about this. When do we show up? When's this thing going to get rolling? And at one point you said to us, 2:30 people are going to start showing up. So Tommy and Rudy took a train out here. I picked them up at the train station, and we pulled up to your house at 2:32, and we're absolutely by far the first people there.
35 people coming to the first people there by maybe 20 minutes.
I would say more. Say more. We got there, and Frankie wasn't even there. Your fiance met us at the door and was like, whoa, why are there people here already? And we just got there at 2:32 when you said 2:30, and we should have drove around the block 900 times.
Yeah. It's a nice Carnoustie hoodie, by the way.
Thank you.
That thing's awesome.
Really good.
Yeah, so it was a fun weekend. I thought we played baseball, that drinking game baseball. You guys had left by then, and it's the most fun game of all time. You got 6-on-6.
Aggressive game.
It's aggressive, but and then you pick who's on defense. We had 3 guys on defense at a time, so there's a manager essentially picking the lineup and defense. And Tommy Smokes is on the other team, and I don't want to give him any props because I love him, but I also love to hate him. Yep. He at one point in a 3-1 game or whatever it was 5-3 game in the 7th inning, looked at me and goes, "Hey Frankie, this one's for you," and just hit a home run in my face, back cup. Whole place went crazy. He's doing the thing where the Jesus arms out and everyone's going nuts, just staring at me. It was one of the more impressive athletic moments I've ever seen him ever even attempt or accomplish.
And we don't have to get too far into it, but I met Big Rob, and
oh my God,
I was starstruck. A lot of stories on this podcast and just behind the scenes talking about Big Rob. He is larger than life. I really enjoyed meeting him. He is a really great guy. He is, what was interesting that I thought was different about him than I thought? I had this picture in my head about Big Rob because I've heard so much about him, and I was a little nervous to meet him because I've heard so much about him. And then, because I had this picture of him in my head, and then I met him, nicest guy, and also has a weird swagger to him.
Yeah,
He showed up in this loud bowling shirt, and everybody was talking about it. He's like
a carnival attendant.
Yeah, it was just So I met Big Rob. I just wanted people to know that he was.
And you met him on the heels of the greatest Big Rob story maybe ever. To me, I think it's just the funniest thing. He played in a pickleball tournament, and he is so out of shape that he puked 5 times during the pickleball tournament, and they had to eventually. He ended up grinding through the puke. After every single point, he'd run to the fence, projectile vomit, places shrieking in horror. He's this 6'6", disgusting, out of shape guy, but he's also insane at paddle sports. So he's making it through this tournament, gets to the championship, and has to get medically DQ'd because he was cramping on the floor, legitimately seizing on the floor that they had to come out. He's saying, I'm going. And they're like, you have to go to a hospital. They're like, this is an amateur paddleball tournament. We can't have you die out here. He got medically DQ'd. And then the photo of him with the person that he lost to is all time. The person he lost to is maybe, would you say, a third of the size of him?
Oh yeah.
On the platform, the guy that he lost to is from his hip up to his shoulder. It's actually could be a viral meme, the photo.
I got it could be easily. And I got the full Rob experience at Frankie's birthday party because I was on the deck. I haven't told Frankie about this because it's not that great of a story, but I was on the deck talking to somebody, and Frankie's deck, there's one level and then there's a step down and you can kind of walk out to the yard. I was talking to somebody on the deck, and Big Rob came storming out of the house and didn't see the step on the deck and fully twisted his ankle and acted like he didn't even notice it. He just kept going. He twisted his ankle, limped to the beer pong table, and then didn't even mention it. That's the picture. That's so goddamn
Look at that. Dude, it's not a real photo. I mean, it looks incredibly photoshopped. Look, how is that possible?
It was great.
That's who he lost to?
Meeting everybody. We had a good weekend.
Oh my God.
Big Rob, too, to me would be so interesting to meet because we only really know him or envision him basically a mute at work. Like that's kind of
Right.
so to envision him like a larger than life real personality mingling in a social setting is like unimaginable to me.
That's a good point. That's what it is. I was trying to think of like, why is his personality so much different than I thought it was going to be? And it is because Frankie talked about how he's never laughed at work. And then he shows up to the party and he's Mr. Big Personality, which I loved. And he was just, he had a big personality and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, he's the best. He's the best.
He's the best. I got him. I got to meet him. Everything about him is the best. I think I saw him on somebody's Instagram story, like catching something and falling over in the grass. And I was like, that has to be Big Rob.
Yeah, it is.
29, Frankie?
29. Last year, the 20s. So next year, I think, before next birthday, I think I end it or so. I don't know. Like, I don't know if I can. I think like the 20s, like I can't be a 30-year-old. I'm too young looking.
You're wrong about that though, because you are. You're aging gracefully, right? Like you're doing all the right things. You had a house, you're getting married next year. Like those are the things that a 30-year-old does. The 20s are chaos for the most part. Early 20s, mid 20s, chaos. You don't know what you're doing. You don't really have the job that you want. You're not making the type of money that you want. Now, as you advance, you're 29 now, you're going to turn 30. You're going to be a married man. You're going to have that house exactly how you want, although it's already a beautiful place. Like you're going to be a 30-year-old that is doing the right things.
See, like all that stuff sounds great and I appreciate that, but I'm just saying that I don't think my personality, regardless of the things that I'm going to do or accomplish, has anything to do with a 30-year-old. I think I'm still just,
nobody grows up. Like nobody grows up. Everyone's a child.
Yeah, I know. It's just
the more you talk to adults, if you ask them like brass tacks, like how's it going? What's it like being as old as you are? And they're just like, I feel like I'm 30. Right. I feel like I'm 30 all the time. It's like that never changes. Your body ages, your brain ages, but you don't actually change.
I remember dreading the 30th and then the next day being like pumped because it was very relieving because you're like, oh, I'm just the same idiot.
Yeah.
Like, nothing changed.
You also have a full 10 years before your next like life-changing like whatever.
Yeah, you gain some like slack. You gain a little bit of slack in the rope.
You start at zero almost. Like you're
you're kind of like, we're hanging now. Yeah, we got
That's 10 a good way to look at it.
Like I'm at the end of something now, and then you start the beginning of a new era.
Right. If you were in the same position you were now that you were in when you were 22, then you're looking at a bit of an issue. Like if you're still, I don't even know what you were doing at 22, but you're not. You're look at what you've been doing. So it's different.
Yeah.
Frankie, we discussed at length the Zalatoris win, the Cam Smith news, all that stuff. I want to get into Scott Fawcett. He just texted us, but Scott Fawcett.
The hell's going on with this guy?
So Scott Fawcett has done a video with you. We've had him on the show. Find a lot of his stuff fascinating.
We haven't released it yet,
Zalatoris
so
guy.
I don't know.
I'll confess, like a year ago or so, I had to stop following him on Twitter. I just found him insufferable, the way that he like smartest guy in the room, like everyone all the time. I just couldn't handle it. When we did have him on the show, I loved it. I find his actual purpose, like the purpose of what he puts out there, I find incredibly interesting. And even Kiz is like takes it. I don't think he wants to deal with him directly, but takes that information and applies it. And like, it's fascinating to.
I want you guys to know that I don't know why we're talking about Scott Fawcett, so I'm very interested to see where this goes.
So Scott Fawcett, decade golf, the whole deal. He will apply literally like thousands and thousands of shots at a PGA Tour event on one hole over the history of the entire event, that anyone who misses in the left rough has like, 0.25 lower scoring average than anybody who misses in the right rough. So your aiming line is actually down the left edge of the fairway, not down, the right center. And we'll literally apply that to every single part on the golf course. It's why Will Zalatoris in his first Masters ever almost won the tournament, and it became pretty famous that way. So it's fantastic, fantastic stuff from just an insightful golf standpoint. But Scott Fawcett is a very controversial guy. He's incredibly opinionated, and he can be a little bit of a wild card sometimes. And so yesterday, he was tweeting throughout the Zalatoris battle down the stretch. He's a huge Zalatoris guy. He was taking victory laps, and he and Justin Thomas actually tweeted a couple of these screenshots because Scott has since deleted them, but he tweeted Uh-oh, and again, and then in all caps, fuck you, Dan Hicks. This wouldn't be a gift because Dan Hicks had made a point of like a pretty throwaway comment on the coverage being like, oh, there's a miss green from Sepp Straka. This could be a gift for Zalatoris. His response is that Will has the best speed control on tour, so he fucking earned it, you dick. Okay, nice putt, Sepp. And then another one, he goes, hey, at Brad Faxon and Dan, go fuck each other. Yes, I understand this is classless and crude, but let me repeat myself. Fuck, period, you, period. Onlookers feel free to unfollow, block, and never buy decade. I don't give a fuck. And he had some more that were wild as well, where he wrote, I really do try to bite my tongue with the commentators, but go fuck yourself, Dan Hicks, with 6 exclamation points. Putter was wobbly earlier this year. You have no idea what the truth is. Fuckface, sit in the booth. Yes, this is a joke, but there's always truth in comedy, smiley face. So he was tweeting these things during the tournament yesterday. And then he just texted us basically saying, I'd love to come on the show and like give my vantage point, which I'm not going to have him on the show. I don't know how to explain that. I really just don't know how to explain that.
I always love when someone goes insane on Twitter. And then at the end of it, they're like, well, you guys just don't understand comedy. This is comedy. This is comedy.
No, he had a crazy day on Twitter. And listen, like I didn't know Scott until he came on the show. And then we're doing Fixing Frankie. We're like piecing together all these episodes. I like wanted to come out with a series this year because my like feeling was that I thought that I had too much potential to be like a 10 or 11 handicap. And I really wanted to see what is the reason why I can't get better. So we went to Dr. Brett McCabe and we're doing all these things. We're going to do something with Trevor Immelman. And then I thought like maybe it'd be interesting to see like if it works for guys, like if Kisner thinks it's interesting and it works for Will Zalatoris, like obviously the whole world thinks that the whole golf world thinks that this guy has something in there, like his actual process. So I'm like, all right, we'll invite him out to Colonial and we'll see. He was super nice. Like meeting him in person. He wrote that in the text. Like, you guys know I am an actual good guy. I will go on record saying like in person, he was a very, very nice guy. I think Brendan can attest to that. I think who was with us? Avery could attest to that. Like he was, even my dad was like, yeah, that guy's a nice guy. Like he was he's just very like, it's like, fucking right in your face. Like, this is how you do it. And if you don't do it, you're wrong. And I think that that's really hard pill to swallow in golf where it's like, well, things can happen. Like bounces can happen. Guys have different swings. Guys have different approaches. Like he's obviously right. Like the things he's saying are correct. Like he's just saying math. He's saying math equations, which people don't like want to accept. But like he is legitimately like, I am right and you're all wrong. And you just can't be that guy on Twitter. Like just, but he also has a business to sell. Like he's selling like he's selling his he has these things that like what are those things that you can like sign up for and like you watch. No, it's like he like talks for like 4 hours. A seminar. He'll like sell seminars and all these PGA pros like go online and they watch his like 4-hour seminars about like how to tackle like the FedEx Cup.
He's just very off-putting. Like the way that he tweets is extremely off-putting, and the way that him packaging all of that stuff into like go fuck each other, that's you, crazy. Dan Hicks. Like those guys are just the commentators up there. That seems a little crazy. And then he's going into like, you people don't know the full history, and it's like, well, okay, but then why are you tweeting all that to all of those people if you know those people don't know the history? Then you know that that's going to get taken out of context. So when we had him on the show, he was great. I'm sure he's nice, but. This, I mean, I can't not talk about it. Justin Thomas screenshot of these and was like, holy fuck.
He's a lunatic on Twitter. And it like, I'm almost embarrassed. Like, we have to release the video because the stuff in the video fucking worked. I went from an 11 to a 5.6 in 3 months.
I can't wait to watch the video
all the stuff that he did. All the stuff that I did, I attribute to like a lot of it to him. Like it was all alignment stuff and like where to hit the ball and like slowing down the swing and like aim points off the tee box. Like it was all these things that unlocked a part of my brain where it's like, holy fuck, golf's like easier now. But like also we have this guy who's an absolute liability on Twitter that like Justin Thomas like wants to like, Justin Thomas hates this guy. Like the whole golf world hates this guy. And I'm just going to be like yapping it up with him on our YouTube page being like, oh, we got Scott Fawcett out here. He hates fucking Brad Faxon. Like what the fuck? Come on, Scott, just stop talking for like 2 months so we can put this video out.
I would also say that the job of a guy like Dan Hicks or any person in that position is to appeal to a broad audience. Like, imagine if he starts talking about like decade golf and the intricacies of it. Like my dad, a 71-year-old man who watches golf every Sunday, would be like, what is happening right now? Like, why is this guy filling me with numbers and data and all this stuff that I don't understand. Like, I just want to hear a guy talk about like, oh, that was a good shot. He's got a pretty good angle from over there. And, if he gets up and down, it's going to force Will Zalatoris to do this or that. That's what Dan Hicks's job is. It's not to like be 100% in the numbers and being like, this is the situation and this is what each player has to do. It's not his job.
No.
Right. Yeah,
he always feels slighted. He feels like when someone says something like, oh, he got lucky there, that they're going directly against the Scott Fawcett rules of golf. Like, that's not what's happening. They're just commentating on what they believe is the best way to describe what they're seeing to the people that are watching it on TV. I mean, dude, no one's saying that, like, dude, you're like, wrong.
Like the one of the most used cliches in the world is like, oh yeah, he doesn't like take anything too personally. Takes everything personally. Like everything that's said ever, he takes personally.
Like if you're like, oh, like Will shouldn't have had like a breakfast bar in the morning, he'd be like, fuck you. We talked about this 6 months ago that actually the supreme way to wake up is eating oatmeal. It's like, dude, I don't fucking know what you're talking about.
And go ahead.
He'd be like, right, like if they're like, oh, what a break in the playoff that Will's ball bounces and doesn't go in the water, he would be like, fuck you, you fucking scumbag. Actually, his aim point is 3 feet to the left of that because all the work that we've done. It's like, no, dude, it just kind of bounced. Like, that's kind of a good break. It's just it's a normal commentator comment. Nobody's attacking your entire philosophy and meaning as a person. It's just like,
I'd love to know how Willie Z feels about it because I think he attributes a lot of his success to Scott and the way that, I mean, they worked together for years. He was on his bag and like they completely changed his game and his way of thinking. And now he has to almost like accept that this guy goes rogue on Twitter on his behalf, like his team's behalf. That's kind of like a bad place to be where it's like, dude, just fucking shut up and let me just win.
That's the thing too, right? And we've said it a couple times during this. Like at the end of the day, the stuff that he does works. Like Stuart Sink used it and he got a couple wins. Like people are like, this shit works. It's just that he is brash and aggressive on Twitter. And obviously Justin Thomas took note of it and took screenshots, which that is like, so did Justin Thomas just tweeted out the screenshots?
He replied to something. He replied to something and was just like, look, I get like supporting your guy, but this is pretty classless. And he's right. I mean, those tweets are outrageous tweets.
He's like, nobody likes a sore winner. Like, I know you deleted these, but like, we can all still see him. It was like a pretty funny tweet from JT. Like, you're just like a lunatic and like, just try and be classy, like, and let the guy enjoy his win.
And that is a large platform. A Justin Thomas tweet. Ooh, yeah. There's going to be people who see that tweet who are like, who the fuck is Scott Fawcett? And then they're going to see the tweets and be like, well, that guy's crazy.
Right. Which I don't blame them for thinking that off of those.
I know you guys went deep into the Willie Z stuff, which was an amazing playoff. I watched it on the plane. It was just like, I'm looking around being like, how is no one else on the plane watching this? You have like your eyes on like 80 different TVs ahead of you. Not
Did
one
you feel
person
like a traitor as a live guy watching that playoff?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I loved watching it. It was amazing.
It was great.
By the way, like, yeah, I got a text message from like someone from LIV being like, we'd love to have you guys at Boston. It's going to be your homecoming. It's like, I don't know. It's like, we're just probably not going to go to that, like, at all.
Give us $100 million. We'll go.
That's exactly. Like, I want to respond being like, what's your price? You know what I mean? Like, what's your price to have us show up to that golf course on next week? Did you guys talk about the guy in the yellow?
No.
Oh, my God, dude. The fucking guy in the yellow. Will Zalatoris has to go back to the drop area. It's his biggest golf shot of his career. I mean, I don't think there's any debate of that. You have to hit this thing tight. You got to make it up and down. Big decision. I'm sure you guys got into it, but it was the right decision, obviously. You go back to the drop zone area. He's talking through with his caddy, looking at an aim point. Where are we looking? This is Dr. Brett McCabe thing. Talk it out loud. This is a Scott Fawcett thing. Talk it out loud. Find your spot, and then you hit it to that spot, and it will react once it hits the green in all these different variances. But the odds are it will get closer to the hole than not. Okay, so he has this entire system, and he goes, I'm looking at the guy in the yellow right now. And it just like hit me that there's this nice man who's like probably a volunteer. He's been standing on this hole the entire week. He's standing right there in front of the grandstand. And he has no idea that he is now the aim point for a professional golfer hitting a golf shot with a chance to win a FedEx Cup playoff. Like the idea that if he just like bent down during like right as Will Zalatoris is looking at him, or if he moved or just like coughed and moved and like shook his arms, like maybe it would throw Will off a little bit, but he was a fucking statue standing there being a perfect aim point. Will Zalatoris hits a perfect golf shot right on line with the guy in the yellow, and he goes on to win the golf tournament. Big day for the guy in yellow. And I want to like get in contact with him and be like, do you know that you're a part of history? You are. He is a part of history. In what other sport do you have that where like a fan is like the thing the guy aims at? Like right. JJ Redick wasn't like, I'm looking at the guy with the hat on like when I shoot my three so that like I can stay on line with this shot. He's just like playing the game. They actually, in every other sport, they don't see anyone. They black out the noise. Will Zalatoris zoned in on this guy's shirt. Like, you kidding me?
Yeah, imagine if he had gone to the bathroom. He's like, I got to piss really bad.
Right. And then he looks up and like Will's like, wait, where's my aim point? And then like pushes it and he loses. It's like that guy had to stay solid.
Hopefully somebody told him. Hopefully somebody pointed at that nose and was like, hey, you're the aim point for Will Zalatoris on this one.
He is a part of that play.
Did anybody think he was considering hitting that ball?
He looked at it for a long time.
It just made no sense based off of what like the situation called for. Like, that would be insane. I got a lot of text message tweets saying that we should go try it. I got like a bunch of DMs being like, you guys need to go to that golf course and try that exact shot. Like, put the ball there on that fucking right in between the lip and all that stone and see if you could actually accomplish it.
Yeah, because it's also hard to tell on TV how, because like I do think it was kind of in a cave because his thinking is clearly like if I can even just get this anywhere forward, it's over.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I mean I don't know. I thought he was gonna hit it for a second. I really did, especially if like I wonder if Straka had hit his drop zone shot onto the green. I wonder if that would have changed what Zalatoris did at all.
I think he hits it.
I do too, because I think he's like, all right, I have one shot here that like I think if Straka hits it to like 20 feet, like an average shot from the drop zone, and I think then Zalatoris is like, okay, if I just make contact with this ball, there's a good chance that I win, and if I don't, then like we're probably just gonna tie. Like I wonder if that would have changed it. Whereas there he was in a spot where he's like, okay, if I take a drop, I have a putt to win no matter what. Whereas like, I don't know. It was interesting to watch. It was hard to tell.
I think if he hits it, it's a disaster, by the way. Like either it goes nowhere or it goes backwards.
Yeah, I think from the camera angle, I think there was way too much stuff on top of the ball for it to I don't think the physics works for it to be able to get a club on it and then get the ball over the lip.
Well, it was under, it seemed like, the cement part. So you're not going to be able to get, like, you'd have to hit it, the ball. You're not going to get under it. You're going to have to hit the ball. And then the grass was so high that there's no way it's going to get up and over. There's just no way.
Up against the grass and back.
I wonder what Scott Fawcett has done.
Well, he's probably saying, like, we tried to hit it in the water so that the drop zone area is better.
What did you guys think about
we got to talk about Red Recover real quick. Let's talk about Red Recover. Red Recover promotes faster muscle recovery, which is extremely important following your workouts. It even expedites healing time from sprains and strains. That is why pro, amateur, and recreational athletes use Red Recover. Red Recover is ideal for anyone suffering from chronic pain, such as arthritis or neck, low back discomfort. This sounds incredibly ideal for you, Frankie. Red Recover is the only portable wearable red and infrared wrap in the market with 3 different light wavelengths to help you optimize your recovery and performance. It is 100% natural with no side effects. Red Recover, look, recovery is just unbelievably important. If you're going to go do a workout, even if it's just walking a golf course, if you're outside all day, you don't want that entire exerted energy to go to waste. That's what happens if you don't recover properly. You did it all for no reason. You went through all that heartache, that misery. It sucked. You don't like to work out. We talk about that on this podcast all the time. Dave Portnoy last week did a whole thing about how working out's just not for him. But if you're going to do it, if you're going to punish yourself, you don't want it to go to waste. That's why we like Red Recover. Take advantage of Red Recover's exclusive offer and recover at the speed of light. That's really fast. It's as fast as something can go. Buy one, get one 50% off using discount code Barstool at redrecover.com. That is the discount code Barstool at redrecover.com. You buy one, you get one 50% off. The playoff, we didn't get a ton into the details of the playoff, but it was everything that makes golf when it's at its peak drama-wise. It was everything that makes golf the best thing that you can possibly watch. It might be boring 95% of the time, But in those moments, you see everything. You see what makes golf awesome for everyone, for the best players in the world, for the worst players in the world. Everyone goes through those swings where those guys were ripping them down the fairway at times. Then they would hit shitty tee shots and have to chip out. And then after chipping out, they would fucking hit one to a couple feet and make a putt. And then the next hole, guy hits it in the water on top of the wall, Zalatoris, in the third playoff hole. And you're thinking, oh, Straka's going to hit this 30 feet left. It's over. Then he hits it in the fucking water, which it's like one of the best players in the world. We've played golf with Kevin Kisner, with Max Homa. It feels so easy for him from 151 yards for any one of those guys to just hit it on the green, right? Like, could you even fathom, having been there with those guys, them missing the green to the right and hitting in the water? And it speaks to like what nerves and truly changing the way your body feels in real time, how golf does affect people so much. That guy, though, Sepp Straka could never miss that shot and hit it in the water, ever, except in that scenario. And he does it and ends up losing the golf tournament. It was fucking insanity how cool that playoff was.
That was a stunner, obviously. Sepp hit it in the water there. Like, again, it's easy for me to say it because I'm sitting in my apartment and I am a pretty bad golfer, although I'm trying to get better. Just aim as far left as you can. Like, hit whatever club you know is not going in that water. Now, again, hindsight's 2020. But if, like, think about it. If you watched yesterday, if you had a time machine, you watched that Will Zalatoris shot. What is the percentage? What is the percentage of Sepp Straka hitting that green after that shot? Like, if you polled a bunch of people, I'd say it's like 95% chance he lands it on the green. Yeah. He didn't. Water.
I honestly was thinking, like, there's no way I hit it in the water there. Like, I was literally saying, like, I would just hit that in the middle of the green. Now, I'm probably wrong. If Sepp did it, I could clearly do it. But it's like, it wasn't like a 230-yard shot. It was a fucking 9-iron or whatever. It was like 150 yards. Crazy. Those guys are so incredibly good. It was so shocking when he hit it in the water. I honestly just couldn't believe it.
Sepp is a little bit of a wild boy with his lines, though. The first two tee shots on 18, the first one was like, well, that's going in the water. And then it ended up being perfect. And the second one, we're like, well, that's definitely going in the water. And it almost went in the water. It was just on the ledge. So he is kind of taking these crazy lines regardless of the situation.
Which I loved. I liked how aggressive he played. He kept just ripping that draw with the 3-wood on the 18th tee. In the playoff and everything else. So I like that. Tilgang, I saw Tilgang was all jacked up. He posted a couple things. That's your guy. Speaking of Tilgang, and there's a bunch of stuff, we're going to jump around a little bit, but I caught up with the latest Breaking 90 episode. 96, I believe it was, for anybody out there who, at this point, spoilers and all that. Trent, I was thinking about, like, obviously your game, how close I think you are. You're unbelievably close, clearly. I think that one – is it the fifth hole that kills you there?
Yeah,
that's
a rock hole,
man.
Frankie said it at the end of the video, but it's one swing. The other thing I was thinking is, like, people have been harping on your putting and all that. I really don't think your putting was that bad. I think it's pretty good. I think your approach shots, like, you're driving it well. I think your approach shots, I don't know if it's, like, a little more focused. Obviously, Tilgang fucking knows a lot more about it than I do. But I think, like, you're leaving yourself in spots, I feel like, on your approach shots that are just that are making it so easy for you to have tap in bogey after tap in bogey and not enough chances to have a really good look for like a par. And I feel like your approach shots are fucking close, but you're just like mishitting a couple of them to the point where it's like, it's leaving you in a spot where it's like, he might make bogey or double here instead of like, oh, he should, based on his touch and everything, have a pretty good look for par. And if he misses it, he makes a bogey. If you do that a bunch, all of a sudden you're in the high 80s and you're threatening. So I actually thought, like, you're off the tee. I was like, fucking, he looks good. And then even the putts, like, you were pouring a lot of the ones from 5-6 feet. Like, you were pouring them in for the most part, I felt.
He's like automatic now. I don't think he's 4-putt in a Breaking 90 episode ever. I think that was like more of a Breaking 100 episode.
Yeah. Dude, something about Scotland changed my putting. And I think it's because it made me literally look back at America and be like, what are they doing with their greens? Because what Scotland does is they don't use it really, at least the courses that we played, they don't use it as a punishment. They just kind of let them grow a little bit and the speed is true. And so you kind of get a feel for that putting. And then you realize it makes you, zoom out a little bit and be like, all right, so what's the difference between Scotland greens and American greens? And what American greens do at these clubs that we play and all over the country is that they use it as a defense mechanism for the course. So they use it like they want to make them lightning quick so it can kind of defend the course a little bit. And once you have that in your head, and this is probably something I should have realized a long time ago, but Scotland really made me realize it, that these greens, they are using it so that they're trying to add strokes to your score. So just be a little bit more cautious, be a little bit more gentle with the lag putts. Don't blow it 15, 20 feet by, because that's just a recipe. It's 3-putt and sometimes even 4-putt. So you just got to be a little bit more cautious with them. And I've got that in my head during these videos and whenever I play, and it has improved my putting times a billion. So that's not where the strokes are. The strokes are what you're saying, Riggs. It's where I sometimes leave my approaches not in the greatest of spots, or even when it is a good spot, I just don't get it up and down or put it in a place where I can make a decent score. That's where the 7s come in. That's where the 8s come in, and they just kill me.
Yeah, I personally think I know where the problem is, and I'm never in a place to be able to say where it is, and I'm not gonna be one of those guys that DMs fucking Trent. A million people say that they know what his problem is, but no one watches as many shots of Trent than I do. And when I'm on the side of him, I realize that his ball position placement is all over the place with irons and pitching wedge and approach shots. So sometimes it'll be way on his front foot and he'll just fucking pull one into the trees. Like we'll be 135, 140 yards out and he nuts like a 9-iron way into the trees left. I'm like, dude, I watched him have that on his front foot. And then other times it'll be way on his back foot and he'll like chicken wing it into the right bunker. And it's like, dude, when he's at the range, it's always in the same spot because like you find like that little spot of grass or maybe on the mat, like it's always in the same spot. He's always stepping in the same spot and he flushes iron after iron. And then we get on the golf course and like the ball's a little bit above his feet or something, or like it's behind or it's on his back foot and he pushes and he pulls. One of the biggest things Scott Fawcett taught me was the ball position. And he's not even like a teaching pro like that, but he lined me up with an alignment stick going across and then one coming through my legs. And he's like, the ball should be there every time, because your swing plane has to hit somewhat close to what you always swing, or else you're never going to be consistent. I'm telling you right now, those massive pulls and pushes are just, he doesn't have the ball in the same spot because his swing is fucking consistent. It's never like, oh my God, you came so outside the in on that one. Like I never see that. I never see like a drastic change in a swing. It's always just like, why the fuck did you set up like that? You know what I mean? It's like, fuck. Yeah. It's like, it was just, something was different each time.
Yeah. No, that's fair. I mean, yeah.
I think that's probably spot on. And like the other thing is like the multiple chips around the green. You know, like that's like if you just plop them into the middle of the green, you like it's obviously it's fucking easier said than done. You're not. I know you're trying to, but it's like those are. It's you're so close in my mind as a viewer because you're there. You're in position all the time. It's like if you flub a chip, then you try to get too aggressive now instead of like making, again, another pretty easy tap-in bogey and you're rolling. It's like somehow he made a 7. Or on the 5th hole with the bunker and the fucking lip that you hate, it's like you're so capable of hitting that bunker shot. I've seen you hit that bunker shot a million times. You just put that on the green 2-putt, you're like rolling. So it's like little shit that is what golf is. That's how they add up, obviously. But it's I don't want you to be disheartened because watching, I'm like, oh, this guy has it. Like you could easily, I could just get a text like tomorrow whenever you guys go film that's like Trent shot 86, and I wouldn't be surprised.
Right. I've definitely gotten to a point where I've reached the next level where it's like 90s, like mid 90s, high 90s, no matter what, which is obviously just a huge change from the old game, which is what we're trying to do. We're breaking 100. Now we're trying to get down. So like, I know like that's a confidence that you don't expect to have. And then once you have it, you're like, all right, if I just play my game, and even if I, blow up a couple holes, I'll probably shoot like a 97 or a 96. Like that's a confidence that you don't even expect. And then it comes to your door once you break 100 and you play and you keep doing it. So I'm right there. I'm definitely right there. And I think what you guys are saying, all that stuff is true. And one of these days, it's just going to happen.
You're essentially a bogey golfer. Like you're literally just a bogey golfer. It's like 2 or 3 holes where you're a little worse than that. And then a few pars, and those things don't perfectly balance each other out, and you end up in the mid-90s. But it's like for the average hole, like I would say going into, like if you're using Barstool Sportsbook and it was the average hole, I think your over-under would be right at bogey. And then it's like you're probably going to, you know what I mean? It's like, or it'd be bogey and a half or whatever. And like you're just as likely, you're going to make bogey a lot of the time. It's like, feels like 12 or 13 of the holes, you just make a pretty easy, stress-free bogey. And it's like, if you could just keep the triples and doubles from being those and being one shot less, and then mix in just a couple more pars, you're all of a sudden high 80s guy. Like, it's just right there.
Like, I think 2 episodes ago at Rockville, I made 6 pars. Like, that's just not something that I would do in the past.
That's great.
it's so many pars. And then I think I had a couple 8s, a couple 7s, and it's just like, wow. But if you can just like minimize the damage, make a few pars, that it's going to happen.
A third of the holes you make par. That's amazing.
Yeah, and we're talking. I mean, he has a video coming out on Thursday. That's going to be must watch.
Yeah,
simple as that.
Let's go.
It's as simple as that.
Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, maybe 7, depending on what other scheduling is going on.
It should be.
I got a big shout out to British Airways and American Airlines. Finally got my bag back.
Wow! Congratulations. How many days?
41. 41
Holy
days took them to get me my bag. Checked it in St. Louis on July 3rd, I think. July 3rd, 2022. And I checked it in St. Louis. I went from St. Louis to Philly, Philly to Heathrow, Heathrow to Glasgow, and did not see my bag from when I left it with the American Airlines agent until I think it was Saturday, like August 13th or whatever it was, 2022, same year. So big shout out to, I think it's kind of a tag team effort between American Airlines and British Airways. What I'll never understand, and they accepted my compliments and my thank yous on social media. But what I won't understand is that the tag was on the bag. So like, there was all of this back and forth for months, as people can imagine, about them trying to get me to describe to them what the bag looks like, and then the contents that are inside of the bag. And I would say clothes, and then they would be like, you need to be more specific. And I'd be like, Peter Millar clothes. And they'd be like, you need to be more specific. I'd be like, Peter Millar golf clothes that are different colors and shit because it's a golf trip. And what I can't comprehend is how on earth would they have needed any of that information, because the tag is on the bag. They could just scan it at any moment, and then a computer system will just tell their system where that bag is. So at any point, they got that little fucking thing with the red thing, and they could just scan it, the laser, and I just will never be able to grasp how they didn't know where it was. I can get that it didn't make it on the plane. I could get that it sat in a warehouse for a while until somebody could get to it, but I'll never comprehend how they just didn't know where it was, because it still has the tag on it.
Yeah.
Do they give you 10 billion rewards points or whatever, or do they just, when they give it to you, they just pat you on the head and tell you to get the fuck out of there?
They don't tell you anything. The only thing they give you is they're like, yeah, you can buy necessities and then you can submit them for expenses and we'll cover them. But like, I'm not gonna do that. I don't.
No.
That's for the birds. What am I? It's like a Saturday. I'm gonna spend 2
may
hours
have like
submitting
a
my
million
expenses
points
to
in your
American
bank.
Airlines.
You may have 1 million points in your bank. The other day, Delta, like we were delayed like an hour, and I got an email saying like they deposited 20,000 miles into my account for being a platinum medallion member, and then having to wait on the tarmac for an hour.
Like at a certain point, there needs to be real stakes with these things. Like if you don't get your bag back in 2 months, you automatically get named the CEO of that company. You now just take over. You're the head. Like right now, there's no stakes. Like you had your bag was lost for 41 days, and they're like, whatever, dude. Like bags get lost. What do you want us to do? There's nothing pressing. But if you were to say like, if it gets lost for 45 days, we're going to give you $200,000.
Right.
It is to Frankie's point. It's hilarious how they don't treat anyone like a human being until you reach a certain status, and then they treat you like they're so nice. Because I have that on Delta as well. And the only time that I'll ever really get anything outside of that motherfucker in Salt Lake who was like, you have to go talk to Delta. And I was talking to Delta. It said Delta on her fucking face. But they will legitimately, like, you get text messages from them if your flight's delayed. Like, you get like a personal text message that's like, we're super sorry about the inconvenience. Please stop by our lounge or we'll have like a drink ready for you. And then the whole rest of your life, they literally won't even look at you or speak to you like you have a pulse. And then as soon as you reach this status, all of a sudden this whole network of human beings kicks in and they just treat you like a person. It's like
right.
It's like a weird feeling.
I think Frankie has just so many Delta points. He shows me sometimes. I'm like, boy, that's a lot. And there's got to be a level where when he shows up to the airport, he gets a piggyback ride to the gate. Or something.
Yeah.
Like there's just like how far can it go? Because they are so accommodating. Like you're saying, once you reach platinum status, they just do everything for you that I don't know where it goes from
I had
here.
a handwritten note on my seat when we went out to Scotland. It was like thank you for choosing Delta on an international flight or whatever. And then, it was crazy. This lock situation has taken a turn for the worse.
Oh, no.
My dad's pacing around. Because the deadbolt lock, I guess, on these doors, like these doors are so like unique and old and different. Like this, whatever this community is, like it's a different type of door, and the lock that this guy has like doesn't like meet. So we have to like call, I don't know, Spanish Bay and like say, do you have like extra like deadbolt locks? Like whoever built this like community needs to have like the locks. And I don't want to do any of that. Like I'm sorry, this is crazy. I didn't expect this to happen. But it's a mistake. It's a mistake, and we have to just keep going.
It's an honest mistake.
We've spent enough time around you to know that for whatever reason, and this is going to give credence to your thought that you're the main character in this whole story, and it's only things happening to you. But we have spent enough time around you that only these things happen to you. Something goes wrong, a flight gets delayed, you lock yourselves out of the house, and now you've got two male Borellis in the same place. I don't even know what's going to happen while you guys are out there.
Where are we going to get this lock? You know what I mean?
I wonder how many times you've texted us with a sentence that starts with, you guys are never going to believe this.
Yeah.
So many times. And it's always actually something. Like there's some people who will say that and it'll be like, oh, they don't have a rental car for me. And it's like, dude, just deal with it. With Frankie, it's usually threat level midnight. Like we got a real problem over here.
Yeah. I just got crazy deja vu, by the way, and I know I've never been here, but that's fucked.
You weren't there for the dad bod?
No. I know I've never been in this situation where I had to drill into a deadbolt lock at someone's house that they allowed me to stay at on the beach of fucking Spanish Bay, and then have to deal with that while we're about to play the hay in like 2 hours and try and go. What is the place? What's the breakfast place in Spanish? Is it Roy's?
Yes, I think it's Roy's. There's like 3 restaurants right there, but I think it's Roy's.
We're trying to go there right now, and I got to deal with this lock situation, dude. I mean, he's got we drilled that shit off. That shit's gone. Like shit's gone. That lock is gone.
I gotta say, I think I'm pretty deep right now in the weeds on Twitter with like pro LIV fucking nut huggers.
Oh my god,
who are these? Here's what I'm curious about, and I think my latest theory is that ever since the Trump Bedminster stop, that this has galvanized political takes that are involved in the whole thing.
Oh, that's the worst part.
I think that the people, right? Because there's no reason to be a huge pro LIV guy. Like, there's no like reason. I don't even think there's a reason to be a huge pro PGA Tour guy. I don't think like. It's not NWO. This is just, they're just two leagues.
I'm glad you said it because like that has been, I think that's insane that people are like sucking the teat of PGA Tour.
No, of either one.
Hated
I think
the PGA Tour forever.
You can have you can have your belief that like one is people should, hold integrity by going to one versus the other, which we've discussed a lot on the show. But in terms of like, there's no, like people shouldn't be buying like PGA Tour like merch and being like, I'm a PGA Tour guy. And same with LIV. Like, why would you be a huge fan of a thing that just pays other people a ton of money? Like, why do you care? Why would you like that? Like, it is what it is. It just exists. That's cool. So what I don't get is when people, I was just tweeting about, like, I just tweeted LOL about, I quote tweeted the Cam Smith withdrawal news, and I just wrote LOL. And then the first comment under it had most likes was, Riggs likes making money off pro golfers, but doesn't want them making money. So I'm like, well, like, what are you talking about? I just literally wrote LOL to Cam Smith withdrawing, which clearly the connotations are that there's something going on with him going to LIV in the PGA Tour and all of that. So then I quote tweeted and had my little take basically being like, Zalatoris made almost $3 million yesterday. So clearly I'm not against people making money. And like, I happen to side with Tiger Woods on like, I think it's better to play on the PGA Tour and make millions than it is to just sell out for LIV. But I understand that people take money. And it is just now, I mean, it's
LIV, dude. You're a LIV.
I think that's what it is. I think people have now conflated it to political allegiance. And I think that must have happened because Trump was basically doing the rally at Trump Bedminster and all of that. Because I've noticed that it's taken in the last 2 weeks, just like general tweets about golf are now coming with like, yeah, you're basically a LIV cuck or something. I'm just like, no, I'm just tweeting about two different golf leagues.
Okay, but see, I have to say something about that, though. I think this whole thing was politicized from the very beginning. I called Trent out for that when we were in Minnesota, saying, like, if you kept calling me a live guy, it felt like there was, like, some political connotation to that, where it's like, you're a specific type of person if you think that the competition between two leagues is, like, a good thing for, like, the sport. Or, like, if you tried to talk about the devil's advocate side of LIV compared to PGA Tour, like, you have these like feelings about the world and morality and like the way that things should happen. Like I think it's been politicized from the very, very beginning, considering it's been all the Saudi Arabia talk.
I wanted to be clear that we didn't put that on. Like we didn't say that about you. We weren't saying that.
No, but it comes from that place. It obviously does. Where it's like, well, if you're a LIV guy, you're this guy. It's like, well, no, I just think like
I was taking it. Evidence on this podcast is that like you've been devil's advocate mostly on the LIV side. I wasn't saying that like you're this type of person.
Well, and no,
okay.
I would say though, I think there's a difference between political. Like now, I think it's political. I think being like against Saudi Arabian horrific regime is not political. I think that's just like moral, which I think is very different. Whereas this now is like it almost feels like they're trying to base upon where they think you lie on should people go to LIV or not puts you in a bucket in their mind of who you voted for president. Is literally like how these people are looking at it now. I don't think they were doing that.
I thought that that's what was always happening. And that's why I was fed up with the fact that you couldn't even talk about both sides without being put into a bucket. But it is what it is. It's always going to be that way. There's always going to be one side. There's always going to be another. I'm almost angry. I am angry at the fact that now you are right. Like you can't even talk about it without, like if you now talk about LIV or like their possibility of ever like being like a thing where they are actually coinciding with PGA Tour now, you're like siding with Trump and like you're automatically a Republican that like basically like stormed the fucking Capitol on January 6th. Like just by like now you're in that bucket. You know what I mean? Like you're like a psychopath, red hat wearing, extreme right. Like no, like I don't know. I'm just talking about Cam Smith joining another fucking golf tour. Right. Like now it's a thing where you are a person. And it's always felt like that, where it's like, you can't talk about this or else you're that person. What are you talking about?
No, I agree. And it is, I guess that is like kind of our entire culture now is like you just get put in a bucket immediately. And there's like, then you feel like you have to fight your way out of it, even though you're not in it. And you're like, well, like, what
I didn't know I was in a fight and now I'm in a fight. I didn't know I was even in one.
Right. And it's like if you clearly tweet that you're just like not a fan of LeBron James, it's like you're a racist. And you're just
there's
like,
always that.
No,
it's just always going to be that.
That's right.
It's definitely sped up in a big way.
It's way more severe now. And I guess my whole point in this whole thing, yes, there's been political undertones from the beginning, but I think now it is like taken over this, where you can't even tweet about, like you can't even talk about this whole thing without instantly somebody is like one side or the other and they're putting you in a bucket and they're like against you. And you're like, no, we're just talking about this whole fucking thing.
Well, we've lived this for 4 years. Like it's been a very strange last decade or half a decade where it's like you can't talk about politics or else you're one side or the other. That's one thing. But now we had the president, the most fucking controversial president of social media of our generation. He hit the fucking opening tee box.
Well, I will say,
so it's like that now. It's like they've picked their sides.
So it's not necessarily. I agree with what you guys are saying. It's also not coming out of nowhere. Like he showed up and played and was like, I support this. So it's like he's flaming. He's putting fuel on the fire just as much as anybody else.
Yeah, that's true. That's a fair point. Yogabo. We got to talk about one-of-a-kind comfort that conforms to your body. It is a chair, a couch, a recliner, even a bed. A perfect way to decompress after a day of birdies and or bogeys, or getting locked out of your cool condo that your friend let you stay at.
How the fuck am I going to get in here?
The furniture is guaranteed to bring style to any space. This could be for you, Trent, with the new apartment situation, which is still looking good, I have to be honest. Did you put those bar stools together yourself, or did those come put together?
I put those together.
How long did it take you?
Not that long, because they know that a guy like me is potentially going to receive the parts to it. So they make it pretty easy. And I mean, I've been putting together a bunch of stuff since I've been here. So once you start getting in a rhythm, you kind of, what the instructors are saying, you just kind of go.
Yeah, it's also a very, it's a nice accomplishing feeling when you do it. You're actually like doing something real and tangible, and there's a beginning and middle and end, and you get to do it. The reason I asked, I ordered, when I first moved to my apartment years ago, I ordered Barstools too, and they came, and I put them together. And I remember it being a little bit tedious, kind of hurt my fingers, but at the end of the day, I was like, I put those together. It's kind of cool.
I will say, so I put up these bookshelves right above this computer that you can't see, and it was pretty easy. You just drill stuff into the wall, and it's no problem. There was 4 screws total that you had to do, and I got through 3 of them, and the 4th one didn't go the way that I wanted it to. So at some point in the future, when we're doing this podcast, there's a chance that I just get murdered by like 15 books.
Put in anchors? Do you throw anchors in there? Drywall anchors?
Of course not.
Oh, fuck me.
That's what I mean.
Bro, you got to get the little poke in the hole thing. You poke the hole in, you put the anchor in, you knock that in, and then you screw it in. It's as tight as, and I know we're talking about an ad here, so I'm not going to get into that, but
we're talking about yoga bows here. So you want me to finish that first, so you can say whatever you want? Reinvent your space with a couple of yoga bows. yogabow.com/foreplay. Use the code FORE, that is FORE, for 25% off your order. That's FORE for 25% off your order. You go to yogabow, that's YOGIBO.com/foreplay. Use the code FORE for 25% off. All right, Frankie, now you can say whatever the fuck you want. Although I will check.
No, I can't.
I will check. Oh, I don't see like they rate the ads
PG.
on how. I don't see anything. This one doesn't have one.
Nah, we'll let it go. I think people can pick up context clues, but you got to throw in those. You got to throw in those wall anchors, man. I've been a wall anchor whore at my new house. I'm throwing in anchors for the lightest photos ever because I just don't want to deal with fucking bullshit. And
the shit's coming down.
Yeah, you got to take those off. You can't have just like screws into drywall and then like a heavy fucking shelf on top of your Mac computer. You just can't do that. Take them down. We'll come over. We'll throw anchors in there. And we'll secure it. Simple as that. It's going to take 2 seconds.
We'll see about that. I mean, it's lasted 2 weeks. I've had them up for about 2 weeks now.
Did you hit a stud, you think? Do you know if like it went through any wood?
I would say unlikely.
Think about like the science behind that. It's like nothing. It's not going into anything. It's going through the first couple inches and then it's just sitting there, just out into nothing. You know what I mean? The screw is not drilled into anything. It's just in the air.
I know at 3 a.m. some night, I'm going to wake up thinking that someone is coming in to kill me, and it's going to be these books are going to be on the ground.
How am I getting a new lock right now? I'm in Monterey, California. I've got the nicest guy of all time let me into his house, and this lock has been on this house for 50 years. Frankie Borelli and his dad show up, and now we got to get a new lock. This lock has lasted however long this building's been alive or standing up. It's fucking crazy that like the second I got here, we're making home improvements, and now I got to go to like Spanish Bay Town Hall and see if they got a box of locks. Like, this is crazy, but it's a mistake. My dad's outside putting. Where is he walking to? He just walked out of the house and he's just on his way on to Spanish Bay right now, just living life. I don't even know if he can do that. There he goes. All right.
How's the weather? Good.
Yeah, it's a little cloudy, but like 63 right now, and just it feels like you're in an air-conditioned room. It's just compared to New York City, where it was beating down 95 degrees every single day, to step off the plane and just be like, wow, just a nice breeze. We wear a hoodie.
Dude, Mike Essie just sent me a video of him just laying down in front of Rory McIlroy, hitting a driver in slow motion, and Rory just roasts a driver right over Essie with the phone.
Oh, my God.
What?
Yeah. This guy. I mean, I don't know that we can probably put this out. I'm sure they're going to want to do, but I'm going to send this to you guys, and we're going to talk about it. What a hero that man is. What an absolute hero. All right. What else do I want to get to? Merchandise. We can talk about merchandise real quick. Do a little plug. Our back-to-school stuff. Killing it, by the way.
Oh, my gosh. The best.
The Unreal gear. Those 2 pullovers they got, the hoodie, and then we got the Roback hoodies in there. Those joggers, I don't know that we've really done joggers before. Those are absolutely excellent. I brought a couple pair of those in my new bag that I refilled with new clothes since I got my bag back.
I've actually got a bunch of that stuff right there, but I tried the joggers on because like I just wanted to see what it would look like. I'm not necessarily a joggers guy. I don't have the bottom half really. Like the bottom half of my legs are just so wide that I was never quite sure how they were going to look in joggers. I put them on yesterday. They actually look pretty good. Like they don't look as elephant-like as I thought they were going to look on my legs.
And dude, I want to say something that'll get you excited. I don't know that we've released it for this release, but I think they've got something cooking for you when it comes to joggers and colors. Oh yeah.
Really?
I want to put that tease out there into the world, just for anyone that may be just, trying to pick up what I'm putting down. I saw an image. I don't know if they're officially coming out yet, but you're going to be really excited if you're going to be a joggers guy. Oh, yeah.
I mean, I might be now.
Wow.
These things are so nice.
Dude, they are fucking awesome.
Store.barstoolsports.com. People can go check out the merchandise. It's the new stuff. The new stuff's fresh. The Tiger stuff's still selling like crazy
too, man. The Tiger stuff is so good.
Mm-hmm. I agree. We got new stuff coming out this fall too, man. We got the Ain't No Hobby bag that I put in play. I think those are coming out this fall. Those will be ready. So yeah, we got good gear on there. I can't get over Trent. Speaking of good gear, his Carnoustie hoodie is
hoodie is so good.
One of the better things.
I'm telling you, man. And our data at Barstool Sports, with the Barstool Golf brand, backs it up. Every clubhouse in America, in Scotland, all over the world should be selling hoodies, because a guy like me is going to walk in there, and apparently there's a lot of guys like me who are going to walk in there and want a hoodie. And Carnoustie has hoodies, and I bought one, and it's gotten 10 compliments since we started doing this podcast. So it's like everybody just starts selling hoodies. Everybody.
I couldn't agree more. We sell hoodies, so store.barstoolsports.com. Go check them out. And then let's do a couple from the galleries. I do want to laugh because I pretty much thought that from the gallery would be most of the show. It's an hour and 45 minutes in, and we haven't done one yet. We have 11. We'll probably get to one. But TJS said, all this Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon talk has me thinking, which that's coming out on Sunday night. If Tour vs. LIV did trial by combat, who are you taking from each league as your fighter?
I got the PGA Tour guy right off the jump.
No. You got to pick. Oh, you got your guy. Sorry.
Wait, so I have to pick someone from each tour to fight?
Yeah, who would be your guys that you would pick? So if you're running the PGA Tour and you're running LIV, who are your guys that you pick from each tour to do trial by combat?
And we're talking about an actual fight. We're not talking about a golf match.
Trial by combat, like from the show.
Well, actually, my guy might hit both. John Rahm is the PGA Tour representative.
Yeah. It's got to be Bryson, right? I mean, I don't know anyone else. I mean, if you give Bryson some sort of roid rage, I think he could probably snap someone's head off.
I think he probably already gave himself roid rage. But I would say that I do think we've had this conversation with Brooks, though, where we were like, would Brooks beat up Bryson? Because Bryson's like all big muscle, but he's not as sort of, I don't know, coordinated maybe. But clearly he's pretty coordinated. He's fucking.
You watch
really
some of these
golf.
YouTube videos that Bryson puts out, and honestly, like Bryson, we haven't talked about Bryson in a long time. Bryson has been doing like a pretty cool thing. If he just wasn't so unlikable all the time, like he's documenting so much of his actual behind it was the PGA Tour experience on YouTube. He's actually done a pretty good job of it. Like he's like pretty committed. If you watch his YouTube stuff, committed to like filming himself. Like that stuff's not the easiest stuff to like constantly vlog when you're like have that much money. But some of these things, I'll see like a bunch of clips on Twitter from him or Instagram. He's a fucking lunatic when he works out, man. That guy he gets hyped up and angry, which I think you have to, like to try and swing 3,000 miles an hour. But I could see him putting up a fight. I think Rahm absolutely rips him in half. I mean, Rahm's built like a fucking dinosaur. He's got like big old paws. He's like a polar bear.
And there's a real rage in there, so that goes a long way.
Oh yeah.
I think a sneaky live guy might be Phil. I feel like he's probably got a lot of pent up anger these days. And he's got a little brother thing with Rahm, so it might be a good matchup in that regard. But yeah, Brooks or Bryson probably.
You think DJ or is he too cool, calm, collected?
Nah, and he's also like, he's seen him without a shirt up. I think he's a little soft. Like,
I think DJ wouldn't even want to fight if he got picked. He'd be like, I don't want to do it, man.
Whatever.
Rahm, is there anybody else in the PGA Tour that would come close to Rahm?
No.
He's
a no-brainer.
He's a house.
I
mean, who's even close on LIV? Like, I don't even know if
they're
all kind of scrawny older guys.
I know. Rahm would just destroy anyone, I think. And he would trial by combat, you got to murder the other person. He would get the job done. Like he would not. Yeah. He wouldn't stop. I don't think.
You guys, are you guys excited for that House of Dragons show? I want to say that I am like through the roof excited for that show.
Whoa.
My excitement hasn't gotten there yet because I've stayed away. I'm trying to tamper my expectations since the final season, obviously, of Thrones and how invested in that I was. So I'm trying to tamper, but I rewatched the trailer last night actually, to get hyped up, and I started to get pretty juiced up. It's the one thing that's hard thus far is there's zero connection to any of the characters. So like even watching the trailer, I don't have any connection to the characters yet. So the trailer, it didn't really get me as hyped, as a lot of Throne stuff. But even just being back in the world for 2 or 3 minutes, just being in the world, seeing the Iron Throne, seeing the dragons, kind of like hearing some of the lingo again got me pretty juiced up.
See, I agree with that. I don't think trailers really get me off when it's like something completely new.
Yeah.
Like I think like season 2 trailers are the ones that really get you juiced, where you're like, oh shit, where are they at?
I agree in characters, but the setting and the world, like you're saying, Riggs, that's very familiar to us.
Oh yeah. All you need to show me is like the Eye of a Dragon opening up, and you're like, oh fuck, like it's fucking Game of Thrones. We're ready.
I agree. I think enough time has passed, and it's just I want to be in that world again. It's time. Like,
show me titties, show me dragons, show me fucking somebody getting their throat cut.
Dude, that was
all I need on a
the
Sunday
other thing.
night,
It got me thinking too. Like when I was seeing the characters pop on the screen, I couldn't help but think like, man, some of these characters are gonna get shockingly eliminated, and I can't wait for that. I don't even know like about them yet. I don't know who I don't like, but any of these people on my screen, I could be shocked they might get their head lopped off in like episode 6, and I might be stunned by it. Like that got me excited.
If they can recapture 45% of primo Game of Thrones, I'm in. And that's a good point where you're saying like that show was at its best when the characters weren't as dug in, and we at a certain point with every show, you get to a point where it's like that guy's not going to die. He's just not going to die. It's the nature of having a show. If you had a show where everybody could die at all times throughout all 10 seasons, that's just not a show that anyone would actually connect with. But the first couple seasons of Thrones, where it was like literally anybody can get it, that's when it's great. And if they can try to recapture just a part of that with this House of Dragons thing, I'm going to be all the way in.
It's also really impressive that they can do prequels like that, where you know the ending of the whole general story and the world that they're trying to show you, and you still get invested in watching things before the thing you already fell in love with. Like I think about that with Better Call Saul. The fact that they were able to make a 7-season or however many seasons it's been series based off of something that we already know the ending to in every way, shape, or form. We know all the storylines, all the characters, how it ended, and they're like, hey, watch like everything that happened before that and like get invested in that story. Like, dude, I'm still watching Better Call Saul with like my heart pounding in my fucking throat, being like, is he going to make it through this? Even though I know from Breaking Bad, he obviously made it through it because I watched fucking 6 seasons of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like Godfather 2 is a little bit like that, where they do Don Corleone's, his rise or whatever. You're kind of like, well, I know where this goes, but they make the characters so interesting and the setting so interesting that you get invested in.
Star Wars was like that. I mean, when they went back and did episodes 1, 2, and 3, and like you really started to realize that the first fucking movie ever was called Episode 4, and they put it on the scroll. You're like, wow. And then the fact that you're almost more excited to be like, how did we get here? Like, I know because you kind of do know the characters, right? You're like entering something new with a relationship to the characters. And so hopefully, I'm sure we'll get some of that. Like when I heard the name Targaryen, I got the chills. I was like, oh, we are back. So I'm pretty juiced up, I guess. Probably more excited than I was leading on. Watching stuff is cool. Sling TV, you can watch stuff. Has something for everyone. All your favorite shows on your favorite channels, all right at your fingertips. What you watch is up to you. Just depends on what kind of mood you might be in. So if you're looking for sports, Sling's got you covered. College football, pro football, basketball, baseball, hockey, soccer, golf, racing, so much more. All that stuff's coming back if it's not on already. Sling has reality TV. You can keep up with the latest gossip with today's hottest shows on channels like TLC, Bravo, MTV, and more. What kind of mood might you be in? No matter what your answer, Sling has what you need. Check out sling.com/barstool for special offers. Getting Sling is easy. You sign up and start watching in just 5 minutes. You can stream on any device and record up to 50 hours with included DVR space. I was actually able to watch the playoff yesterday. Big thanks to Sling being able to watch coverage. I was watching when I was actually on the driving range this past weekend in Arizona. I was watching via Sling on Golf Channel the U.S. Women's Amateur at Chambers Bay, which Frankie and I have been to with Devontae's. Matt, I think his boy's name was Matt Revel, that was with us.
Revel, yeah.
Great guys. But point being that it's unbelievably cool to just be able to have Sling and have that streaming on your phone wherever you are at any point. Put a little headphone in, hitting balls in the range, and was just watching these girls battle it out on one of the coolest courses in the country. So the point is, sling.com/barstool. You can get special offers. Sling, the TV you love, for a price that you will love. Try us today. That's sling.com/barstool for special offers.
I use Sling in my new area of my house. It's been amazing. We didn't want to put any like cable there or whatever. It's like this bar that we built, and we got a nice TV, and it's like the best part of my house now. And Sling is freaking amazing. The easiest thing to set up of all time, and it's fast. Usually streaming services, when you like click on a channel, it'll take like a little bit to buffer. This is as seamless and close to like something plugged in as you've ever seen in your entire life. It's really good.
Sling
and you get so
great.
many more games. You got like World Juniors were on. Then like we could watch like Athletics versus the Reds, like just a random baseball game, like which I love being able to do. Just like there's always a game on.
Yep.
So much different than just cable where it's like, all right, like ABC, NBC. It's like, no, this is like different shit. College football, college baseball. Cool.
I love Sling.
Cool.
Sling's fucking great.
Cool.
I got to find my dad, by the way. I don't know how long we're doing
You
this
think he's
podcast.
lost in the
gone.
sauce? What time is it?
It's been
It's 10
20
a.m.?
minutes. Yeah, it's been 20 minutes. He's just gone.
That's what is it? Sticks is that place that's you can also eat at? That's right next to the putting green there. Is that what it's called?
At Spanish Bay? Yeah, I think so. I believe so.
I'm excited for you, Frankie. You pumped to play Pebble with your game the way it is right now?
So pumped. The thing I'm most pumped about is the 7th hole. It's my bugaboo. Bugaboo's a bad thing, right?
Yep.
I feel like bugaboo might be something you call like your
It is
like
kind
your
of
sweetheart.
nice. It's like
Give
maybe
me
you
my
call your
bugaboo.
blanket if you're a kid. Call it your bugaboo.
Yeah, it's like a little too soft and nice for something that's so like the 7th hole is horrific to me. I've played 3 times. It'll be my 4th time playing, I believe, which is crazy to say. But fuck, man, it is. I've never even come close to hitting that green. It's like a 110-yard shot. Like sometimes it's like 80 yards downwind, right? Like it's a little flip
baby
wedge.
shot.
Take a 54 degree and just go back and forward. Like you know how to do this now. And I've always chunked it. I've always sculled it. I've always pulled it. Just figure it out. I am hitting that green. I'm making it 2. I've been playing so well. I've been having so much fun playing the game of golf that I refuse to have a bad day out there. We're taking caddies. My dad's going to play great. It's just going to be fun. We're going to have a bunch of drinks. We're staying here on property. We can just fucking have a day. Oh my God. It's just, but you know what? The stress never ends. Like this is supposed to be a stress-free week for my dad. This is all I've been trying to do. Get him away from like stress, ocean, golf. And we got to go find a fucking lock now. You know what I mean?
But think about it. He's stressed right now, maybe, but he's wandering around. You don't know where he is.
He was pacing this morning. He's like, I can't believe we're locked out right now.
But now that he's out there, he's probably just like standing in the ocean.
Yeah, right. That's right. Hopefully.
It's a great place. If you're going to be stressed, it's a pretty good place to be.
That's right. I sent you guys a video of him pacing, and the background's like hilarious. Like we're like in the greatest place of all time.
Yeah, you're pacing, and like if you have to be pacing, there's nowhere better to be pacing.
Yeah. And the flight was good. It was like everything's like fine. We're okay. We're gonna have a good day. We're gonna go get breakfast, and then we're gonna play. But yeah, it's never. I mean, my day started too. That someone at my birthday party, somebody brought like a White Claw, and like I should have kicked the person out or like murdered them. And it's in the side like view of one of my Instagram stories, and some dude tweeted at Dave, and Dave's texting me like, should I start promoting your like your oppositions and your rivals of the podcast? I'm like, dude, I swear I bought $400 worth of high noons. Like you should have seen how many high noons were on that table, but they weren't in that video. So I almost canceled the trip yesterday. That happened to me at the airport. I almost canceled the trip. We were delayed an hour, and I looked at my dad. I said, sorry, Papa, you're not going to Pebble. Because our friend Trish brought one White Claw. It's the worst drink of all time. It's like, no, we have high noons, we have Trulies. It's like, I don't even know how I didn't see it. Had I seen it, she would have been dead. She would have been dead. Murdered.
That's tough. I can't believe that ended up on Dave's radar. That's a nightmare.
It's just, and then like I'm on my way out here. It's like, all right, now we finally got here, and then we fucking got locked out. It's like it's just never. One of these days, it's gonna be simple. And unfortunately, I think that's going to be like when I die in my sleep. Like that's going to be the most simple thing that happens to me. It's just going to end. You know what I mean? Like finally something happened where it just went. It's just like, that's going to be it. Fuck me.
Or I with you, probably they'll bring you back.
Exactly. I'll be like 98 years old. I'll like watch the Islanders win the Stanley Cup from my deathbed. And I'll be like, oh, and everything will just go perfect. And then someone's going to come rushing in and be like, and I'm going to be on a fucking feeding tube until I'm 110. And then they're going to have some technology that like I'm going to live until I'm 200, but my fucking toenails are going to be rotting and shit. It's going to be a fucking nightmare. It's just never going to be easy.
What a journey. I'm wearing our Augusta shirt today, by the way, Frankie.
Oh, hell yeah. We always usually wear that to the same class.
I knew you weren't going to be here, so I wore it.
That's huge. Smart. Toronto, are we still? Is Toronto? Toronto's next week, right? Is there still like a space?
I think there's space on the second day in Toronto. I believe there is still room. So
I was talking to Justin Mancini. He's like, "Do you want to get in a little earlier and experience Toronto, Daddy?" I said, "Absolutely. Do I want to get there early?" So I'm gonna get there like around 4:00 and experience. I've never been to Toronto, so I want to have.
I've been to Toronto. Dinner. We used to go there for hockey all the time.
Yeah, I'm excited. I want recommendations. Send them my way. Don't ask me to play. We're not playing any golf, so don't send me. I love everyone up there, but like I can't play golf that week. We have the Barstool Classic. But if you're gonna send me a recommendation, I want it to be like a bar or a restaurant or one of those things. So
I love Canada. Canada is
the best.
Excellent. Huge Canada guy. We might be doing a travel series in Canada next year, just for everybody out there. We might try to go to the Calgary Stampede and maybe hit the Banff area. So if anybody's got any connections for us on that front, we're trying to put together a little trip. But I love Canada. I can't wait to get up there. I'm going straight from here. I'm really excited, actually. I'm going to Pinehurst for 10 days. I'm going to just kind of chill out. I got a couple buddies coming down, so I'll be playing some golf. So I will not be getting to Toronto early because I'm going to be playing a little bit of G in North Carolina with my fellas. So I'm excited to get down there and just relax. Been a few months on the road.
How would you feel if someone stayed at the Riggs cottage and had to drill the deadbolt lock off and have to get a new one?
Honestly, well, it's different for Josh because his place isn't like a rental. You kind of expect when your place is a rental that shit's just going to happen. I think when you just give it to like a trusted buddy like you probably don't expect you're going to have to like drill and redo the lock. I'm like,
I don't want to have
to. But he's not. The issue would be if you made him deal with it, but you're just going to hopefully just deal with it, and then hopefully he doesn't have to really worry about it.
I hope he doesn't have to deal with it, but at some point he might have to like make a phone call and be like, we need to get this lock to this house.
Yeah, it's not. Dude,
I don't have like the Spanish Bay directory.
I know we took like on the front door, my brother pulled one of the most heroic moves of all time. He's a handy person. I'm not. And skeet shooting, the whole thing. And he legit talked to his building manager because that's what he does for a living. He's like property manager for these different apartment buildings. And he called his property manager and they took the door that was on the house, the original door, took it off and then bought this like device that drilled holes in a certain way where we were able to then install the Simply Safe padlock system so that now we can just change the passcode every day basically and obviously control who can get in and who can get out. But he took it from a door handle that had probably been on there for 100 years and without us having to get a new door, literally re-drilled the holes, sanded it, painted it and all that. And it was a fucking nightmare. So hopefully yours is not a nightmare having to replace a pretty simple deadlock.
Like, honestly, it feels like it's gonna be like a night. Like the guy was here and he's like, I gotta go. He was like, he had the word lock, Mr. Lock or whatever, and he's like, I can't. I have nothing. He's like, I don't have a solution, and he left. He's gone.
I think ultimately it's going to be fine. You're in it right now. You're just in it, but
I don't know. We'll see.
You need to get this solved, and then you're just on vacation. You're hanging for a couple of days.
Yeah, we'll see. You're confident? I don't even know what that means. He says all the homes are the same, so we'll figure it out.
Oh, I get what he's saying. They got to have extra locks. All the
uniform lock situation.
Who is the people that have the uniform locks? Is it like
it's got to be like a management company? Yeah, Exactly.
All right, we're gonna
like
make
the
some
key
phone
master
calls.
from Matrix. Just have a
We're
billion
gonna make some
keys.
phone calls. It is what it is. We're gonna.
If nothing else, just go knock on your neighbor's door and be like, "What do I do?"
We have your lock, please, and you deal with it.
No, just be like, "What would you? You guys live here. What would you do if this happened to you?"
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited to do this. But yeah, no, it's gonna be a lot of fun. This is a great,
dude. Enjoy your
start. Yeah, great start. Yeah, but I think I'm gonna make a video out of this. I already have very funny. I mean, we tried to break in, so I mean, I already have funny stuff. And it is what it is. We're just gonna come. I'm gonna just put a video out on YouTube, and people are just gonna watch it. Hopefully, so that's the trip.
I'm excited to watch it. It's what a cool thing you're doing. I think it's getting overshadowed by some negative outcomes, but what a really cool thing you're doing,
I
Frankie.
appreciate that. Thank
Yep.
you. It's
Tell
fun.
your dad hi for us, please. Hope you guys have a great
will.
time.
right.
Are you going to be on Thursday's show?
I'm gonna try. Wednesday's
Okay.
like a bear, but I might actually be able to join in if you guys do something a little bit later in the day because we're playing at 8:30 finish, and then we don't have a flight until like 9 that night. So I should be able to do, like, if I come back here, I should do like an hour or something before we have to make our way to San Francisco.
Okay, good. Well, then everybody will
Yeah.
hear from you on Thursday.
Yes.
All right. Well, enjoy the week, everyone. Frankie, play well. Excited to hear about it.
you.
Hit it hard.
Hit it hard.